It's time for MacBreak Weekly. There is controversy aplenty. Did Apple just kill the Vision Pro? Oh, maybe not. But we are going to kill the Vision Pro jingle, right? Maybe not. Apple removes ICEBlock. Is it a danger to law enforcement? Or is Apple caving to an authoritarian government? We will debate. And then we'll take a look at some of the new features on the iPad coming out in beta, including the return of a long-missed feature. All of that coming up next on MacBreak Weekly.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is MacBreak Weekly, episode 993, recorded Tuesday, October 7th, 2025. An orifice for ads. It's time for MacBreak Weekly, the show we cover the latest in Apple news. And here he is, all the way from Apple Central, a.k.a. sixcolors.com, Mr. Jason Snell.
Apple
Hello.
Central would have been a different name for my website, but thank you. It's good to be here. Happy October to all.
We could give it a different name. Apple Central. Wasn't there a Apple Central?
Mac Central.
Mac Central, that's right.
Jim Dalrymple did that.
Yes, that's right.
Back in the day.
Back in the day. Also with us, my friends, it's Mr. Andy Anatko, now in the Boston Public Library.
Yes, I'm making my way up the eastern seaboard of libraries. I got Nashua, New Hampshire, and then York, Maine, and then I got some feelers out for libraries in Canada. So.
I love it. And what's nice about the Boston Public Library, they have shelving, so
exactly.
It is empty.
If I wanted to put up some canned goods for the winter,
you got them.
There you go.
Also, Alex Lindsay, officehours.global and 090 Media. Hello, Alex.
Good morning.
Good morning. I almost referred some business to you. There's an exercise channel I participated in, and he had a live stream where he promoted it like crazy on October 3rd. It was like on Friday. I was going to promote it like crazy. They turn on the camera. We're all excited. There's 300 people in the audience. No audio.
Yeah.
And they turn it off and turn it on, turn it off and turn it on. They change the channel. They still can't get audio. They say, screw it. And they say, we'll do it tomorrow. And I almost said, you should call 090 Media. They could help. I know they could help. Anyway.
Even just put a question in office hours. They're probably, we could help there too.
Don't attempt this without the help of Mr. Alex Lindsay, I guess is the answer.
Live is hard.
Yes.
Live is hard. And especially the audio. The audio is the hardest part.
Hey, look at this. We're going to kick it off with the Vision Pro segment.
What do you see?
I was not ready for that.
Testing John Ashley.
I was not ready for that.
But you did it. There was only a slight hesitation. And actually, the good news is this is the last Vision Pro segment
No,
ever.
it's not.
It's all over for the Vision Pro. It's done. It's finished.
It's not.
Our
Mark,
social experiment
try.
is at an end.
Mark Gurman says they're not going to do the less expensive Vision Pro in
Not what he said.
2027. He didn't say that?
No.
Oh, you're
What
no
did he
fun,
say?
Jason.
Okay, so and this is as somebody here with Alex who talks about all the great things about the Vision Pro, I think this is actually the right move, and I'm glad that they're doing it. But what they did is they're going to take the people who are building that next generation, lighter, cheaper, but probably still heavy and expensive Vision Pro hardware, and they're putting them on the AR glasses catch up to Meta project so that they can ship things like the Meta Ray-Bans and the Meta Ray-Bans with AR faster than they were going to do it because they are many years behind on that side. They're still going to ship an M5 Vision Pro. Vision OS proceeds, but I think what they realized is just something they should have realized 5 years ago, which is just approaching this from the top down is the wrong way to do it. And you also need to approach it from the bottom up, like what Meta has done. And so they're going to go, they're going further in on bottom up on building, AirPods glasses and then AR glasses.
Though, aren't going to do spatial computing. They're not Vision Pros.
Not in the short term, but I think that they probably converge or get close to converging eventually. And I think Apple's mistake was saying, well, we'll work on this big heavy thing and make it lighter. And that's not necessarily the wrong approach, but the other way to go is to do what Meta's doing. I mean, Meta's building headsets too, but they're also building these lightweight things that are more like smart AirPods, basically. It's all tech that Apple already has, and they kind of poo-pooed it. And then they seem to do, Gurman report a while ago, and we talked about like an investigatory phase. And now they seem to have decided that they've investigated it, and it is a good idea. And they pulled the people who were working on the sort of 2028, again, Vision Pro follow-on that would have been lighter but probably still heavy, and cheaper but probably still expensive, and instead saying, look, we need to ship these glasses products way sooner because we are so far behind Meta. And I think that's the right call.
He says they are still going to do the M5 chip upgrade, the slipstream upgrade this year and maybe next. Yes.
And for the Vision Pro, which is just it is an experimentation and development, and, way too early for anybody to buy it for realsies product anyway. So they'll push it up to M5, and then they're going to move on for a little while.
And he says the company's working on 2 types of smart glasses. The first one, dubbed N50, will pair with an iPhone and lack its own display, maybe as soon as next year. And then they'll do one that is just like the Meta Ray-Ban display with a display in it for 2028, 3 years from now.
Or possibly sooner because they're putting more people on it. I think that time frame is one of the reasons why they realized they needed more people working on this thing.
Come on, admit it. They're killing the Vision Pro. You got to admit it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
No.
No, I think that the big thing is that the current Vision Pro is a little underpowered. And for what some of us have been producing, there's still the next generation of just adding the processing power is going to add a lot more to it. It provides very valuable resources when you're thinking about wanting. I think the reason that Apple went down this path in the first place is that if you're going to build if you're going to build the glasses eventually, having the data that you're getting from the Vision Pro users is really valuable, and having the ecosystem getting built up around that is really valuable. And I don't think that I don't think that Apple really, is going to release a product that they view as an existential solution, and then go after a year, I don't know if we're going to do this anymore. That's a Google thing to do. It's not an Apple thing to do. And I think that
Apple car.
No, but
they never released it.
Never shipped it.
They never released it.
Apple has produced many things.
Although you could say
Apple
Apple Hi-Fi and iPod socks, and there are a few things.
Yeah, but I think that this is a platform. This is a platform
Xserve,
that they did. But Xserve was around for a while. It's not like it was there for a year and then they said, it doesn't work. It's not that Apple's ever put something to sleep. It's just that it is. This is a platform. They've built an OS for it. It's going to be here. It's going to be here for quite some time. Because the hard part is that the question is, can Meta actually, execute over time, that in a way that can compete with what Apple's doing? And so I think that that'll be the thing same thing with their headsets. And I think that, I think what they gave up on is, hey, it's probably really hard to make this lighter and cheaper. Like, that's the part that I think they've given up on, is that we might as well just do work on the glasses, because we have the tank, and the tank will probably continue to get chip updates. I would be surprised if the form factor of the Apple Vision Pro and the basic design of the Apple Vision Pro changed dramatically in the next 3 years.
Is it fair to, as Flying Comic in our Club Twit says, call it the Apple's Lisa?
I don't think so.
I think the Lisa technically was Apple's Lisa.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, the Lisa glasses.
Yeah, but the problem is that there still has not been any sort of proof that this is something that that the market wants in enough quantities for Apple to really, really justify it.
Even Meta's glasses, you could say that of. They've only sold a couple of million.
Yeah, I mean, this is Apple waiting patiently, like in front of where they think the puck is going to be, waiting and waiting and waiting for that puck to come, and it might never come.
It's the problem
it could be the same thing with glasses too. Again, it's not that it's an unviable product, but Apple doesn't sell boutique products. They don't sell it. They don't try to sell things in hundreds of thousands or even low millions. They want to sell things as the next phone. And I'm not saying I doubt that will ever happen. I'm saying that we don't have anything to go on other than faith that this market is ever going to coalesce.
Yeah, but I think the difference here is, I mean, you could interpret what you're saying as being, unless Apple releases a hit, it should never release a product.
Nope,
and I
never
will
said that,
admit,
didn't even imply that.
I think you did, but I'll just say this is a different kind of product, and it is entirely speculative. And I do think the way it was marketed was a gigantic mistake. I think there are people inside Apple who only know one thing, which is to sell products to the mass market. And this was always from day one a weird, is this a thing for the future kind of product that most people shouldn't buy. That has not changed, and it's not going to change. But I think Apple is thinking having an operating system that is ready for AR and VR and that builds on their app platform, and having that is valuable. Having people build that is valuable because they're going to be able to roll that into future products, both AR and VR. And that's what this product is. And again, I think it's fine. I think shipping it was probably a good idea. The problem was people judging it by like regular Apple products, because I mean it was so clear from day one that it was not going to be that. Well, it's all about the future speculation.
Can I say it was also clear from day one that they brought almost nothing to the to me it was clear from day one that they brought almost nothing to the table. There was except for the developer community, which is an eternal Apple asset. But the shocking thing to me when I first saw the Vision Pro, and then when I actually used it myself, is that this is just another one of those. There are VR headsets out there. They made another one of those. They didn't do what they did with the iPhone. They didn't do what they did with so many other platforms, where they figured out here are some pain points, or here's somewhere where our specific point of view as a company and as designers can actually transform this product and at least make it into a unique Apple experience. This is not that. It runs iPad apps.
I don't know. I mean,
I totally disagree.
It is dramatically better than the MetaQuest. It's dramatically better.
It's the same thing, only with better specs. It's like
it's not true.
Not true.
The OS
everything about it is better.
The OS is so much better. Meta has now copied aspects of it, trying to get it more like Vision Pro, but like the Vision OS is a very different kind of experience. Now, we could argue that the ways in which it's better are all about spatial computing things that nobody wants. Well, I think that there's an argument to be had.
And I think that the issue is that if you go back to, like, let's say when Apple released Maps, because I think Maps is a better corollary than the Lisa, which is that they came out of it, they didn't have enough data. They didn't have the data that Google had. So they weren't as accurate as Google. They'd send you down dead ends. There's lots of things that were glitchy. And then they just spent a lot of money on it and kind of just leaned into that as it slowly moved forward. But the big thing is that what you need for doing anything like this is an entirely new way of computing. It's an entirely new way of interacting, and you need data. And you don't get data without a product. If you don't have hundreds of thousands of people banging on your product and looking at it, and this isn't about selling product right now. It is about gamma testing. And so it is all about figuring out, like, watching how people use it. There's so many things that have gotten better just in the last couple operating, OSs. And I think that you're going to keep on seeing them. They're progressing those so that when they have a product that they're going towards a mass market, all of those things are working, because none of those things would work by themselves. Like that, you can't just come out of it from the lab and have it all working. And so the infrastructure and the process and, a lot of the other things, I do think, to your point, Andy, that the weakness that Apple has is this idea that build it and they will come, and we're just going to build something and people are going to show up. And to some degree, people have, but what was genius of that Epic did was the mega grants. The mega grants had everyone forget that Unity existed. Like when mega grants came out of, we're going to give away $100 million with very few strings, like almost like under $25,000, almost no strings. Over $25,000, maybe a couple. You got to tell us what you're going to do with it. like it's just, and suddenly everyone is brainstorming on how to use the Unreal platform. And so the thing is that I think that Apple is, never wants to pay people to develop for their platform, because it's a slippery slope and they don't want to do that. But I think that kind of grant at this moment with a new platform would make a huge difference. If Apple said, we're going to give away $1 billion a year to, which they roll off one of the bills on the outside of the roll. We're going to give away $1 billion a year for people to develop apps for it. Suddenly you have all these people creatively thinking about proof of concepts and process, and because you can see hints of it, of what people are building for these things that is truly amazing. But when we look at the amount of work Apple's done, when you go back and realize that USDZ was for the headset, Like, that was what, 10 years ago that they started talking about it. And so this is a very long play. If Apple, I would be blown away. They're obviously going to make adjustments because that's what a good company does. But if they give up on this less than 10 years after the release, I will be very surprised.
Well, I don't think I'm being really clear with what I'm saying. I'm not going to re-prosecute what I'm saying. I'll leave it at this: is that sometimes it's that people just don't like tomato flavored soda. It's not that, the problem is that it's too expensive. No, it's not too expensive. Oh, well, what if we put it in 6-ounce cans instead of 16-ounce bottles? No, it's not that. What if we use much better? Well, this is higher quality tomatoes, and we've got the spice blend correct. Well, again, it's possible that people just have no real need, use, or interest in tomato flavored soda. I'm not. Again, I just don't think that we could. I don't think that Apple should or will go ahead with the understanding that all we got to do is bunker down, dig our trenches deeper and deeper, just keep improving this, and people will come around, or market factors will come around, and suddenly this will be another computing platform that is viable, that is not simply, you know how you can run iPad apps on an iPad? Imagine you had virtual iPads, and that you had to strap to your face for 3 or 4 hours before your neck tires out. I'm saying that it's possible this will never.
This headset isn't the product. Thing. The AR glasses are the product. This headset is the R&D platform to figure out interaction, it is what they're doing, and what Meta's doing is so hard. It is so hard to do. And I don't think that this is considered the product. Like, this is getting a bunch of people willing to test, human interaction, with that process. And I do think that, I don't know if it would sell that many more, but like, for instance, if, I could build something that would be providing really cool concerts once a week, and a lot of people would subscribe. And I could probably make it, with enough CapEx, I could probably make it something that generated a profit pretty quickly, with the people, with just the platform that's here right now, but you have to have someone willing to put the work and time into that process. And I think that, there's, and there are people. I'm in these conversations every day. There are people working on it, and the Blackmagic camera just came out. There's a handful of them that are floating around. I get access to one every once in a while. And I think that as that becomes something that more and more people have, you're going to see more and more content, and the content is pretty compelling, and I will say that it has always been this mixture of not having enough content and not having hardware that can deliver that content. So we've been shooting more content than the Meta Quest and even the Apple Vision Pro can play regularly for a long time. So we are constantly shooting more, and it's been really difficult to work on that content. By pulling all these things together, we're going to get to a point where that content is a lot easier, a lot cheaper to produce. And also we have with the headset. We have something that can actually play it. And I think when they upgrade it with the M5, if that actually, whenever that happens, it's going to close a huge gap from performance-wise that does make a difference. There's a hill that sits right on the other side of where the current Apple Vision Pro sits, that it makes a huge difference from my experience of working with headsets in the frame rate. When we go from 90 to 120 frames a second, it's a completely different world. And so, from a lower brain perspective. And so I think that, again, they're doing something that's hard. And the thing is that they are playing a game that I think people are going to want wearables. Do they want the Apple Vision Pro? Probably not. Do they want something that they wear that I think Google saw it first, gave up quickly. I think Meta is pretty committed to what they're doing. I think Apple is putting it in. This is a big boys game. This is super expensive. And it's a huge arms race, and it's only going to be, 2 or 3 companies that pull it off. And I think that the company that I don't think it has to be one or the other either, but I think that Meta has privacy concerns around their headset that is going to be an albatross as they try to grow. Wanting to wear glasses that are constantly telling Meta what you're doing and where you are and everything else. There's a lot of people that are not going to be very excited about that. So that it's a constant drag on what they're doing. And nobody else is playing at the level that Meta and Apple are playing. So Apple has this huge market of people that say, I don't want to share my information with Meta. And if they put out a headset that is less than $2,000. I mean, people are paying $2,000 for their phone. They'll pay $2,000, and they're paying $1,000 for their watches. They'll pay $2,000 for.
Well,
a
they're
headset.
not doing
They're
that
not
$2,000 one.
They're
They've
spending
decided not to do
$200
it.
for their phones worldwide. They're not spending $2,000.
But wait a minute.
I
They've
don't
already
care about
decided.
worldwide. All I care about is Apple users. Like, who cares?
Again, as a niche product, they can make it work.
You don't
They
think
can
this is a
absolutely
signal from Apple saying we give up?
No.
I'm stunned.
Well,
No.
we'll get to have this
I-
It's
conversation in a year and see
patently
how it goes.
obvious that they're giving up, and they looked over. It's like that meme with the guy looking over his shoulder. They looked over at the Meta glasses and said, "Oh yeah, we should probably be doing that instead."
Yeah, Leo, if I had $10 for every time you declared the Vision Pro dead, I wouldn't be
Well,
here.
it's finally dead. I finally won.
real
It's dead.
dog bites
It's
man
not dead
stuff.
yet.
Real
It's
dog
just-
bites man
It's just
stuff happening
limping.
there.
It's just limping on one leg.
Glasses that like
It was
Meta's
never a
is
good
what Apple
product. It
always
was
going
never a good
towards.
product. It
Yeah,
still
but-
isn't a good product. Nobody should buy it, and especially now. Do you think this will really help sales? Like, oh, well, obviously Apple's all in on the Vision. No, it's not.
They're in on the
They
platform.
took the
It's not the
team
product.
off the Vision Pro and put it on glasses.
They put
There's
some
nobody.
engineers working
You
on
go to the
lighter
Vision
version.
Pro
I know.
offices.
know
There's
that for
nobody
years.
there.
No, there's still. I mean,
Again-
Vision OS is still going forward, and they're shipping the M5. I think.
Okay,
look,
there's a couple of people there.
Look. I think if you don't believe that this is a category, that's fine. The Vision Pro is what it is. It's weird, and it's not what Apple usually does. I think that what's happened is that it's all been exacerbated by the fact that Apple blew it in terms of we don't need to make things like the Meta Ray-Bans because we have AirPods and that should be good enough. And now they're realizing, oh, maybe that was a mistake, which it totally was, and they have to catch up. I think one of the big questions is this a product category in 10 or 15 years at all? And I've heard different things, but like if you're Apple or Meta or even Google, they have so much money, and they are all afraid that in the 2030s, nobody's going to need a smartphone anymore, or even if they do have a smartphone, everybody's going to have a thing on their face that is showing them everything about the world, and that if they don't build that product, someone else will, and they will lose
the glasses.
that opportunity. So
not the Vision Pro, the
well,
glasses.
okay, but yeah.
So you're
but
saying
listen,
the glasses are the same category?
I'm saying that
This
I
is
think
all
I'm
the
saying it's
same.
all the same because even though what Meta is showing now is like a widget in your corner of your right eye, in the long run, you need a software platform for it. Who's going to have one? Apple's going to have
I
one.
agree with you.
You're
Meta's
going to
not
need to
the
learn how to
company.
miniaturize sensors. You're going to need to have to like these are all things that need to be done. The real difference here is that Apple is doing Vision Pro in public, and they could have kept it as a lab project. And I think that is a lot of what I hear from people about this is if it's not going to be a successful product to the market, and that people like us, even somebody like me who kind of believes in the product, says nobody should buy it, then maybe they shouldn't have released it at all. I think in a world where developers are more excited about building for Apple platforms, maybe they could have gotten away with it. But the challenge right now is that there's nobody there, and people feel really developers feel really put upon by Apple and taken advantage of by Apple. And on top of that, then let's say this cycle, developers are using every spare second to fix all of the liquid glass issues with their apps. The last thing they're going to do is throw more time. I mean, I know developers I've talked to about this, and it's like they think Vision Pro is cool, but like in the end, even if they think Vision Pro is cool, if they're only gonna have 50 users, and they've got, they will never prioritize it.
Isn't that the wisdom of the crowds? Aren't the developers saying the same thing I'm saying, which is we're not going to develop for it because it's a dead end?
And again, I think that this is
operating
where
system.
Because the product's too heavy and expensive today, and that's the question again.
Nobody's ever going to want to strap that onto their face. They
Of course
will
not.
definitely
Again,
want to
that's
wear
not the product.
glasses.
What if
I don't
we
think
made
glasses are the same
tomato
category.
soda into a powder that you can mix into a drink? That's probably again.
Well, anyway,
what I'm getting at is
I'm going to
this
tell
is
John
based
Ashley,
on
Well,
faith.
don't
many
burn
billions of
the-
dollars are being spent by tech
Hold on,
companies who
hold
think tomato soda is going to be a thing, and maybe they're wrong, Andy.
Hold on. I'm going to tell John Ashley not to burn the Vision Pro jingle. You can keep it around. I
Wait,
guess we'll be.
I already burned.
Did you already erase it?
I was about to.
all I can say is that a year from
Regrets.
now, when things are cooking along,
Oh yeah, you told me that when the Vision
Jason
Pro
and I-
came out.
Jason and I
You
maybe
guys are
less
cracked.
forgiving.
You're cracked.
Well, let's see what let's look at how
I've been
the next year
saying
goes.
this all along.
Yeah, I know. nothing new.
You guys are nuts.
They've talked about AR. The platform is the glasses. That is what they've been going towards the whole time.
I think that's
can't make it.
revisionist. I think you're being revisionist.
No, that's why they have. That's why they have all of those stupid cameras on that thing.
Problems.
Yeah,
that's why they have.
We have been talking about that on this show. I'm sure we can go back and look.
I agree with glasses. I'm not fighting glasses at all. I'm just saying the Vision Pro ain't it. And I think it's revisionist to say, well, no, really what they were doing is making glasses.
They've said that in the past.
Expensive.
It's been there, Leo, it's been there since day one. And the only explanation for why the Vision Pro has its entire AR mode with all those cameras, those incredibly expensive cameras everywhere, is it's an AR simulator because Tim Cook only will talk about AR. Tim Cook is all about the future of AR.
Glasses. I know.
But they can't build an AR product right now. And I think, again, we come back to the Meta style glasses. I think this is where they went wrong, is they said, well, we can't build this thing that Johnny Ive is envisioning from the 2030s. So let's just, that whole category is stupid. We'll just build this thing in the meantime. And, there would be no shame for the company that makes AirPods to make something a lot like AirPods. That's glasses. And yet it took them how many years to figure out that they maybe should build it, and only now are they really ramping up a team to build it? I think,
it won't be out till 2028.
Speculating about the Vision Pro, we can disagree or agree, but like that's where they really blew it, is they thought, well, no, we're just going to do this thing, and that other thing is dumb.
So you're agreeing with me now?
I'm agreeing that they should have also been working on glasses, and they shouldn't have poo-pooed it, for sure.
Yeah, I don't think that when glasses actually become a really good thing, and I think they have the potential for it. I was a big fan of Google Glass when it first came out, blew my mind. It was very, very useful for a lot of use cases that I wanted them for. I think that the idea of running something that even seems like a descendant of Vision OS is a gamble. I think that smart glasses are going to be running agentic AI, not something that it translates into, I'm running something that's similar to a phone app, but this is the display that I've got in front of my face right here. This is what I'm trying to get at. That again, it's a great idea. I'm glad they're pushing it forward. I don't think they should cancel Vision Pro. I'm glad they're moving forward to it, but I have not seen the fundamental problems of this form factor, even speculating into what a wearable piece of glasses with integrated waveform displays is going to be like. There's a bunch of fundamental questions about what this device is and what the wearer's relationship is with that device that have not been addressed, and nobody has shown as an insight into cracking that solution. Which is not to say it can't happen, but I'm saying that this is not a linear progression of, well, first we build like the big clunky VR goggles, but then we keep focusing towards making a tinier version of it. No, the tinier version of that will not be running anything that's similar to apps. It's not going to be something where you're sitting like in the middle of the day, like this, trying to.
Do you think
look at
Meta
things.
learned something?
That's one vision.
It's going to be agentic AI.
Do you think Meta? I agree with you on that. Do you think Meta learned anything from Vision Quest for its glasses, or is it just two separate products?
Oh, I think you definitely learn. I mean, you have so many things that you understand around content, around people, the way people use their eyes.
No, the glasses have no
they...
content. No. The glasses are right now just AirPods.
Oh, you mean
the Meta Ray-Bans, are they in any way genetically related to the Meta Quest?
Not now, but
someday.
As time. Well, yeah. So the next one's going to have something that's like widgets, and it's going to be really basic. But they have to do that. Again, a thing Apple already did, but refuses to put in a product. But in the long run, I mean, I guess this comes down to how you see the future of interfaces. And if you see that everything that is an interface in 15 years is going to be agentic AI.
I think that
however you define that, or if you think it might be more like software, I guess we'll see.
Not everything, but again, you're dealing with the fact that as good as these displays, again, and as we're imagining in 10 years is going to be, they are still going to be between your eyeballs and the real world, and you're going to have to navigate that. You're still going to have to be in the real world while you're interacting with these, if they are apps at all, and that's not a solution that anybody has really posited yet. So
absent a keyboard, absent a mouse, absent touch, it's hard to imagine a user interface that works with glasses. I mean, but an AI could in fact be the user interface
if people are willing to do that. And I think that the challenge really is that, like, I know for me, if I literally have had probably 2 or 3 occasions at this point where someone has Meta glasses on, I ask them to take them off. Like I won't have a conversation. Like I just at lunch.
But if they
Like,
were
I'm just
Apple glasses, you wouldn't mind.
I probably would be less sensitive, but I'm not going to be sitting there talking in front of a Meta. And,
No,
and
I
think that
understand. That's a big problem.
But this is the thing, is that there are two players right now, and there's so much money that's required to get into this game that there probably will be two, potentially one more, but that'd be about the most you'd ever get into this game, because the ramp up and the miniaturization
Well, don't forget,
of the
OpenAI's got Johnny Ive working on something,
Yeah, it's not gonna-
although
the
they're
problem-
apparently having technical difficulties.
Yeah, because
and
Johnny
it's a
Ive
little
doesn't
delayed.
have the Apple engineering team behind
Yes,
him. Like, it's
he's
not
not a
going to
pro.
work. Like, it's going to be a dead on arrival.
Yeah,
so the thing is that, I mean, he can make things look pretty. He just can't make them work. So the issue is that there's going to be two big players, and there's going to be privacy and no privacy, and there's going to be a lot of people that pick one or the other.
I completely agree with you. When I saw the new Meta glasses, I said
no privacy and more privacy.
It's not merely
not
privacy. It's also ecosystem. Meta just doesn't have the ecosystem Apple does, and so Apple has a huge advantage in glasses. I think Apple's right to turn and look at the girl going the other way, because those glasses are the
100%. This is where we agree, is that they blew it, and I think they really blew it. And in fact, to follow on something that Alex said, look, Meta is ahead here, and Meta has spent a lot of effort and done a lot of interesting things. And what I'm about to say is not to say that that's not true. What I am going to say is corporate culture is a real thing, and Apple has a culture of shipping products. And Apple is a company that makes products and it delivers for customers. And Meta, at its core, is an advertising company that wants to profile people and sell ads. And and it doesn't mean they can't make interesting hardware, but in the long run, I wonder if they're capable of winning a race with a company that actually cares about products. In fact, I would say throw in Samsung to that, like on the coming around the bend on the far side of the track headed for the finish line, like other companies that are better at building hardware and thinking about products than Meta. It's the same conversation we've had here before about why I can't stand any of the Amazon Echo products now, is that not that they weren't trailblazing, interesting, and way ahead of the world, but in the end, all Amazon ever wants to do at the end of the day is market another product for me to buy, and it turns those interesting devices into orifices for ads. And that's my skepticism about Meta here, is not that they haven't done great work and not that they aren't skating to where the puck is, but it's Meta. And I just don't believe that in the end they're going to be able to change their culture to be as focused on creating pieces of consumer hardware that people actually want to use, instead of getting things that punish them for using them, as Apple is. And we'll see. But that's why I think that Apple's got a real chance, and why they can still catch up. But it's also why it's a real shame they're so far behind.
One last thing that's really important. We've been talking about Apple. We've been talking about Meta. I don't think that any discussion of this is complete unless we're talking about Google and, to a lesser extent, OpenAI. It's possible that the way that all this works isn't, we need a design company and an engineering company and a product company. Gemini has been doing so much good stuff through Gemini, as they keep adding features to it and relevant features to it, and not powered by what I personally see to be a really good philosophy behind how AI agents and AI helpers are best integrated into how people get throughout their day. It could just be that, wow, those are great glasses. The answer to all this solution, or what we wind up with, could just simply be the glasses are a commodity piece of hardware. Just like you go into the store, you buy whatever pair of glasses that you think work for you. And just like our car has CarPlay on it, or Android Auto, hey, wow, it works with Gemini Agentic AI. Great, that's all I need to know. And it's not going to be something that we have a brand loyalty to for hardware, so long as our favorite AI agents work with it, so long as you put them on and it actually starts doing things for you, not just giving you one more screen for distraction and one more screen to project apps on. That's where a company like Google or OpenAI can really run away with this.
And I think the problem is that Google has a hard lift because they already gave up once, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Anyway,
that's a hard one to get. I haven't seen Google give up on something and then come back to it. Number two is that OpenAI just is not a hardware company, and they're finding that out really quickly, and they're going to continue to find that out. It takes an enormous amount of culture and process to build hardware, especially at the level that these have to be built at. And I think OpenAI will not be able to do that.
Well,
Remember,
Google's
Microsoft
not
wasn't a
building
hardware company either,
so.
and Microsoft's done all right as a software company. I
It's
think
done all right,
OpenAI
but even now,
is pitching itself
again-
to be a new operating system, and I have a feeling they might be in a good position to do that. And then anybody who wants to make hardware can. It'd be interesting to see instead of
support
a
any hardware you make,
proprietary
yeah.
Mac hardware environment, you had an open environment like the PC world running a variety of AI operating systems. I think actually that's kind of the world we're getting to.
I'm already benefiting from it. The half the reason that I use my Vision Pro more than my MetaQuest is because anytime I want to put something on my Vision Pro, it's super easy to do from the rest of my platform. And so the rest of the platforms I can just share with it. It all pops up in there, and that's what Apple has as an advantage is that it doesn't matter what non-Apple users think or care about or anything else. It's can they provide a product that goes back to people who are already committed to the ecosystem and provide them with something that they want to use.
Right. We're going to open your ad orifice because we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we have another controversial subject we will get to. So keep the boxing gloves on. And John Ashley, okay, I guess you can keep the Vision Pro jingle because we are, in fact, America's premier Vision Pro podcast.
If we don't close it up now, technically we're always in the Vision Pro segment from now on.
Why don't you finish it out, John Ashley?
Now you see, now you know, we're done talking the Vision Pro.
Through the power of AI, I was able to salvage.
You got it back. Nice.
So, yeah.
Andy Anako, Alex
Relief.
Lindsay, Jason Snell, you're watching MacBreak Weekly. Our show today brought to you by a name I know everybody knows, 1Password. But 1Password is expanding their operations with something brand new called Extended Access Management, and it's very cool. It solves a big problem in business. Over half of IT pros say that their biggest challenge, their number one challenge, is securing SaaS apps. It's a growing problem, not only SaaS sprawl, but shadow IT. And, AI has just added to that, right? All of a sudden, your employees are sending proprietary information out to who knows where using AI. You could see why SaaS is a problem. Thankfully, there's a solution. Trelica, Trelica by 1Password, can discover and secure access to all your apps, whether they are managed or not. Trelica by 1Password inventories every app in use at your company. And then pre-populated app profiles assess the SaaS risks, let you manage access, which means you can also optimize spend and enforce best security practices across every app your employees use, even shadow IT. Imagine that, managing shadow IT. Oh, you can also use it to securely onboard and offboard employees and meet compliance goals. Trelica by 1Password provides a complete solution for SaaS access governance. It's just one of the ways that extended access management helps teams strengthen compliance and security. Of course, we all know 1Password's award-winning password manager, trusted by millions of users and over 150,000 businesses from IBM to Slack. But now 1Password securing more than just passwords with 1Password extended access management. Of course, 1Password is secure, ISO 27001 certified with regular third-party audits and the industry's largest bug bounty. 1Password exceeds the standards set by various authorities and is a leader in security. Take the first step to better security for your team by securing credentials and protecting every application, even unmanaged shadow IT. Learn more at 1Password.com/MacBreak. That's 1Password.com/MacBreak, all lowercase. We thank them so much for supporting MacBreak Weekly. 1Password.com/MacBreak. I was watching last night that liberal bastion, Rachel Maddow on MSNBC, and I was very pleased to see that she had Joshua Aaron on, the guy who wrote ICEBlock. It was really interesting because he says, I grew up Jewish in a family, and I had the privilege of knowing a number of Holocaust survivors, and the country they described in Germany in the 30s was starting to remind me a little bit of what's going on here. And that's one of the reasons he created ICEBlock. ICEBlock, Rachel Maddow compared it to having on your maps the ability to say speed trap ahead or speed camera ahead, which we all accept. What ICEBlock did, it was a mapping app that allowed people to say, we've seen ICE in this neighborhood. And obviously the theory is stay away, right? But the Department of Justice and the Attorney General Pam Bondi say, no, this is being used to target ICE agents and to promote violence against ICE agents. She had threatened Joshua Aaron previously, saying we're going to have to investigate him personally. Then they wrote a letter to Apple, and Apple immediately took it down, along with other similar apps. Without even a letter, Google did the same thing, saying it was protecting vulnerable communities, which I think you could argue ICEBlock was intended to do. Critics of tech giants, I'm reading now from NPR, critics of the tech giants capitulating to the Trump administration say it shows the sway President Trump has over Silicon Valley. They didn't even have to threaten Apple. They didn't have to do anything but say, hey, you should be pulling that. We demand, in fact, Pam Bondi says, they remove the ICEBlock app, and they did. So a number of people see this as needless capitulation on the part of Apple. There wasn't a legal problem with ICEBlock, as far as I know. It wasn't like, we've often said, well, Apple has to obey the laws in the countries it operates in. But this wasn't a law. This was just a request from the government. The same kind of request, by the way, that they decried under the Biden administration, asserting, I don't think it's true, that the Biden administration requested Twitter take down COVID disinformation, things like that. And they said, oh, that's terrible. But this is not. So here's the question, and I open it up to you. Is Apple doing the right thing? Are they protecting law enforcement? Or are they capitulating to an authoritarian government prematurely? And is this, by the way, and one of the things Aaron brought up and Rachel Maddow brought up is Apple has, yes, perhaps a duty to the government, but Apple has a greater duty to its customers. And its customers, in the long run, have more to say about Apple's business than anybody.
Yeah. I mean, what makes this doubly dangerous compared to the platforming of Android is that, at least with Android, okay, I can sideload an app. If people want to create a distribution network for ICEBlock, they could create an APK file and distribute it that way. Google's starting to clamp down on that in general anyway. So let's see if that's still true a year from now. But at least there are alternatives. With the iPhone, there is one pinch point and one pinch point only for putting an app on the phone. And that gives a frisky totalitarian-esque government, or government with interests in totalitarian directions, simplicity. This app is completely legal to have. It's illegal. It's legal to use. It's legal to distribute. But a government does not have to go through all the paperwork to make it illegal to remove a right or an ability from the populace. All they have to do is apply pressure on that one pinch point of this $3 trillion company that has lots of interests that do not involve making sure that people have access to any app that they actually want, and apps that don't violate their own terms of service and policies for the App Store. They're not going to defend that. They're not going to protect that. And if you accept the argument that apps are a form of speech, a form of free speech, which is an argument that I accept, then this is a very, very bad and dark thing. There is an argument to be made that an app like this, if it were allowed to escalate and metastasize and become a lot more effective, just in the same way that Wikipedia used to be just a whole bunch of user-generated articles, and then it became the enormous, sprawling, de facto reference source that the entire world relies on. If apps that allow you to track the movements of law enforcement became of that scale, yes, then that would be a big problem. This is a discussion that we definitely need to have. However, right now, that is absolutely not what is happening. And so that's why at this moment, I'm focused on the question of, well, great. So if because if a government wanted to apply pressure to that one pinch point to say that we don't think that we're getting a fair shake from CBS's late night hosts, we want you to remove the CBS app, the streaming app. We don't think that we think the New York Times is a democratic, radical, violent, liberal, loud speaking horn. We want you to remove the New York Times app. And we want you to promote this app instead. I see this all of one piece, and I can't think that this is in any way something that Apple shouldn't be completely ashamed of.
Constitutional experts call it jawboning. The First Amendment prohibits government officials from censoring the speech of private actors, or from even insisting that private actors do anything like pull down an app. However, they often, especially on social media, will threaten. And of course, Apple is vulnerable because of a number of Trump, as you say, pinch points. Tim Bray. So very interesting post from Brent Simmons, the creator of NetNewsWire. Why NetNewsWire is not a web app. I mean, that would be one solution, is for Joshua Aaron to make it a web app, right? Apple can't control that. Tim Bray says the canceling of ICEBlock is more evidence where any needed that the web is the platform of the future, the only platform without a controlling vendor. There are some technical reasons Brent Simmons doesn't make NetNewsWire a PWA. Although I think you probably could make ICEBlock a PWA.
Yeah, although I think part of what ICEBlock is trying to do is they were trying to use Apple's private push notification framework to send these alerts. And one of the downsides of using the web is you can do push notifications, but then you have a direct link to who those people are, and it's all on the ICEBlock website, which would be subject to a different kind of scrutiny than Apple,
Brett
which
brings
does.
That up. Yeah.
Apple really does a lot to obfuscate who's getting push notifications, so that the apps don't actually know. They just send it, and it happens, and it's and so there's. I got a message on social media like an hour ago that said this is why it should all be on the open web, and it's like, well, the open web has advantages and disadvantages. ICEBlock was trying to take advantage of some privacy features of iOS, but as Andy pointed out, the only way you can do that is by being inside the Apple Dome, and if Apple kicks you out of the Dome, there's no other way to get in there. And that's one of the for the record, I think this is a bad decision on Apple's part, although I understand why they made it, because it's very much in the sphere of super squishy app store, we can do whatever we want kind of things. But what I would say is, I think a lot of the super squishy app store stuff was built, as with a lot of things in the United States, it turns out, with a belief in norms and good faith that don't exist right now. Yeah. And so I think if you're Apple, you say, you know what? If the Attorney General of the United States comes to me and says, I'm concerned that an app on your store is putting law enforcement officers at harm, and maybe we could just take that down, we're going to say yes, because that seems like a perfectly reasonable request, right? Right? And right now, I mean, there are people out there who will argue it is a perfectly reasonable request, and there are other people who will argue that it is jawboning, and that it is a use of an authoritarian government to try and prevent some of their actions that are deeply questionable in nature. But for Apple, because it's a black box, it's just always so easy for them to just knock something off the store, and there's really no recourse, there's no visible process, and there's no outlet for it, because there's no other way on to iPhones and iPads than through the App Store.
Technically speaking, we didn't pull the app because because of pressure from the Department of Justice. It turns out that it violates our App Store guidelines. Ignore the fact that we reviewed it earlier and said it doesn't, but now it does. Now it totally does.
We put speed cameras and stuff in our Maps app.
Here's a hypothetical. So people who have ICEBlock are not losing it. Apple they just took it out the App Store. Yeah. What if Pam Bondi now comes to Tim Cook and says, oh, now I want you to kill it on all the phones it's on, because it's still a hazard
to whoever has it. I mean, and so I think that Apple has had a pretty strong red line of you can't have access to the phone. They haven't had a strong red line anywhere in the world around anything else.
No, they pulled down the VPN apps when China requested it. Yeah,
but they haven't given anybody access, any country access, and if you start creating a bunch of red lines between these governments, then eventually you're going to have to give up the one that you're trying to protect. And the one that they're trying to protect is no data on the phone, not on iCloud, not on other things, not on apps. They're protecting. They have this one enclave that they're protecting, and if they pick a bunch of fights, that eventually is going to get pulled into that fight. And so I think that they are, and I think that when you have when you have a leadership that is the way it is right now in the U.S., I think that Apple has to think about a bunch of things, and whether they protect an edge case that doesn't have that many users that is going to do something. To me, I can see why you'd want to keep it, but if I was in the same position, I'd probably do the same thing. Like I would just be like it's not worth the fight. It's not worth the fight with this administration, over this. Like it's not like what they're trying to make sure is they manage tariffs and they manage them not going after that secure enclave, which they could. The secure area on your phone, and of course you're gonna wring your hands of it and have a bunch of conversations, but everybody did this. I mean, every corporation's gonna make the same.
So where do they? I think the question is, where do they draw the line? Where do they draw the line? Because what we've learned is bullies are going to keep coming back and asking for more.
I think
where do they draw the line somewhere? Is there some request? Is it?
I mean,
is it encryption backdoors?
To be devil's advocate, we had an administration before this one telling everyone what they were allowed to put on Facebook and YouTube. So let's be clear. This isn't.
That's not true. What are you talking
kidding
about?
Me?
That's not true.
There was so many health.
You believe the Twitter files? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not talking about Twitter files. I'm talking about people talking. I mean, basically, you would, if you said certain things during COVID, you were gonna have that stuff taken off of YouTube.
And you're saying YouTube did it because the Biden administration or the
100% did it. They 100% did it because the Biden administration didn't just say it on social media. They told them directly.
I'll double check my facts here.
Okay.
I did a lot of research on this topic a year or so ago, and
I'm just saying that
it's not as simple
both sides
as
have told people what they can
chokehold.
say and what they can't.
No. It's not a both sides thing. Don't you dare turn this into a both sides thing. This is not that.
There's no evidence that that happened, Alex. We don't need evidence that this happened. That the administration announced that it happened.
And again, I think that
also if they ever did that, I'm not agreeing that they did or didn't, because again, I don't have my files in front of me right now. But there's a difference between, hey, we have actual provable facts that are in the public sphere that you can actually go and verify that the claims that we're making that this is actual misinformation and it is going to have a terrible impact upon mortality of this, versus, we're just going to claim that this app is being used to target law enforcement, and we're going to throw out that attacks against ICE are up 500%.
Which is also a lie.
That's horrible. You must be really excited to give us the data so we can tell everybody that you're absolutely. Oh wait, no, you don't have any data about that. So I think that's not a both sides sort of thing.
The biggest mistake of this is I doubt that the app was actually making much difference. the whole thing is they took it down.
It's probably true. ICEBlock was not very good.
It had any impact on anybody, and so the thing is this was a flex by the administration. It didn't actually affect probably almost anything, and so that's the unfortunate part of this, is that there's a big fight over something that wasn't really making any difference.
At some point, we're going to have to ask the question: does Apple actually stand for anything?
Yeah, it's a corporation.
I know. Again, they're a $3 trillion corporation, but they keep saying that we believe in this and these other companies and we're protecting people.
That's right.
What do you actually believe in? What are you actually going to?
Where do you draw the line?
What battle are you willing to fight just because you think this is right and this other thing is wrong? And you don't care if it's only 0.5% of your user base that's being affected by that. You don't care if it's 10 people that are being abused by a horrible policy. Apple, are you willing to stand up and say we will protect those 10 people on principle? Where is your definition of what is right and what is wrong, and where do you stand? Or is it just wherever the breeze will blow us, that's where we're going to go? And
is there any risk of Apple losing revenue because of this? Look, it was pretty clear that the banning of Jimmy Kimmel cost Disney quite a bit, and they in fact backed down because of it. Is there any evidence that this might cost Apple in any way?
I feel like it's just a gradual erosion, but I do think the thing to watch, I think, is a more aggressive attempt to get user data, not the like I said. I mean, the streets are littered.
What about
with
the kill switch? If they went and said, and I could see the DOJ saying, okay, now take it off all the phones it's on. for the same reasons, right?
It might make a difference, or it might just be one of those things that's lumped in with all the other things. The world has grown pretty acceptant of the fact that Apple can just kill things in the App Store.
Have they ever used the kill switch?
They use it for malware, right? They use it for malware, but I'm not sure that they've used the kill switch for something that's just a policy violation. They prefer that sort of just silently vanishes. I've got so many rejected apps that I still have on my iPad and my iPhone, like emulators and all sorts of things that snuck in, and you download it and then it goes away, but you still have it on a device. I think my best guess is that push comes to shove when somebody in the government asks for Apple to create a backdoor or subvert encryption or hand over user data in a way that completely disembowels their privacy issue, or turn off their end-to-end encryption or whatever it is. I suspect that if they were to take a stand, it would probably be something like that is so deleterious to the image that they've built over the last 10 or 15 years that they have to stand up. Because Disney did it, because in the end what happened with Disney is they got to the point where they had to make somebody unhappy. They either had to make a lot of their customers and the creative community really unhappy by saying, no, we're just going to keep Jimmy Kimmel off, or they were going to make everybody in the government and who supports the government angry because they were going to bring him back. And they realized, oh, well, we have to decide one way or another. Apple, so far, it gets to kind of have it both ways, like they've had forever with the App Store, right? All of these tempests in teapots where we talk about all the issues involving the App Store and Apple being totally arbitrary. But in general, it just keeps happening, other than in Europe, and even there it still keeps kind of happening, but theoretically it shouldn't. So they may be able to get away with this just because I feel like everybody's used to App Store rejections and is like, well, whatever, it's their platform, whatever, even though people obviously are grumbling about it. I do wonder when is that moment where Apple has to really decide if it's going to take a stand at all. And
they've had lines, and the FBI has tried to get into a phone that
San Bernardino was a line
of a terrorist who shot people, and Apple was like, "This is the line. We're not going to give you a way to get in."
It was a different time, though. I mean, I wonder if the same thing happened today.
But that was. Are you going to tell us to build a backdoor, or are you going to demand that we task our engineers to subvert our own code and make fake code for you? They're like, you want us to make bugs or break our own bugs, and they're like, that's too far for us.
And they are constantly making it the phone itself more and more private, the entire platform more and more private. And so the issue is that's their line, and they don't have another line. I don't think and I don't think that we should expect them to.
We'll see, because I have a feeling, when you give the, what was it John Oliver said, when you give the bully your lunch money, it doesn't make the bully go away, it just makes them more hungry. We'll see. I have a feeling that there's
a lot of things the administration can ask for that still wouldn't cross that line, and I think that they know where that.
And they may be smart enough not to go too far. You think?
You have a lot of faith that I don't have.
We'll find out. I think.
Did I use the word smart? I'm sorry. That was a mistake.
I'm just a little bit taken aback that things that I would never have contemplated, things that I would have dismissed about, well, Apple would never do that. I know that they're not as pure at heart as they like people to think, but there are lines that they won't cross. There are things that they won't do. There are things they won't capitulate to. And things that I would have assumed were absolutely true that way a year ago are now not everything, but nearly everything is in play. Because Tim Cook decided that Apple needs an integrity problem. And he decided, hey, we can have an integrity problem. All we got to do is build a solid gold thing and make a big show of it. And now we'll have the more integrity problems that we'll ever know what to do with.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't envy Tim Cook. It's a tricky line, but at some point, you gotta adhere to your values.
I just want to say again, none of this is an issue if the App Store isn't the only way onto the phone.
Yes.
And that's maybe the solution, you think?
You know what? Well, I wrote about this last year, that Apple already has built an entire system for it, and it's on the Mac, and they're actually deploying part of that system in the EU, where you've got a whole regime that's locking the device down, but that ultimately, if you want to run software that hasn't been approved by Apple on your Mac, you can do it. It's funny now, though, that we may get in it. There are certain circumstances that may arise where it's actually beneficial for Apple to say, oh, we can't, right? Like a lot of Apple strategy, as Alex said, where they're locking things down, a lot of Apple strategy is what they want to do. Like Apple seems to be of the mind that if a government comes to them and asks them to do something legally or jawboning anyway, they'll do it because they're just going to do that. What their strategy seems to be behind the scenes is make it so we can't. Just make it so we can't. Make it like, oh, sorry, it's encrypted. We don't. It's math. We can't do anything about it. That's their strategy. The challenge with the App Store is there's no loophole there, and it would be a huge pressure release if, in a circumstance like this, they could just say, well, we're going to not let it in our store, but we don't control what gets on our platform. Now, that wouldn't help with the push notification thing, right? Because that is Apple's, and you wouldn't get access to it if you were on the outside. But it's another, it makes this all harder on Apple because it has complete control over the software that runs on its platform.
One more data point. Yesterday, the Supreme Court declined to block the order that required Google change its Play Store. In other words, they ruled in favor of Epic and against Google. Google said, hey, there's security concerns. We can't do that. And the court said, no. It was one of those rocket docket cases, so there's no opinion that we can rely on, but the justices declined to block that district order. So Google will now have to make those changes to its Play Store, the changes that Epic wanted. Apple's in the same situation. I don't know if Apple has appealed to the Supreme Court or not, but
yeah. This is just why I keep going back on. This is not just about these issues about the App Store. They're not about a $1 billion corporation fighting with a $1 trillion corporation. This is the right to simply decide that if I want to put an app on my phone, I should be able to do it because I spent $1,000 on this thing. And sometimes the reason why I can't get that app on my phone is because they're evil people doing evil things who don't want me to have freedom. So
yeah,
I'll calm down.
I think Jason, you were right that the best path forward for Apple is to find some way to make side loading or alternate.
It would certainly change the tenor of the discussion and take some heat off of Apple.
That's
it's kind of funny that we're
provide better support for PWAs, because they could, with service workers, provide private notifications and more. There would be ways to do this. I always thought Apple would do that by now, and they haven't.
Well, they haven't felt the need, right? I mean, one of the great questions about why does Apple do things the way they do is when you are one of the world's most valuable companies and you are kicking off enormous amounts of profit every single quarter, and you have for decades, and the number only goes up, it's real hard to say we should change our behavior.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, we're going to take a little break. That wasn't as bad as I thought it might be. I was prepared. I have a fire extinguisher right here. We'll have more in just a little bit. In fact, Jason is firing up the 6-color printer because Apple's quarterly results are coming soon. You are watching MacBreak Weekly with 6 Colors man Jason Snell, Andy Anako, Library man Andy Anako, and let me see, what should I call you? Spatial video guy, Alex Lindsay. It's great to have all three of you. Yeah, ooh, it's a 3D. Our show today brought to you by ZocDoc. Love ZocDoc. Every morning I do my workout. It's a great way to take care of your body. But there's more to getting truly healthy than just hitting the gym. It takes consistent annual check-ins with your doctor, getting things checked out that feel off or not normal. You got to have a quality nutrition regimen. I've talked about that too. And of course, you got to take care of your mental health too. ZocDoc makes it easy to do all of that, to start your health plan by helping you find and book doctors in your area who are right for you. ZocDoc is so great. It's quick, it's easy, it's a free app and a website. You don't even need to install an app. Just go to the website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. More than just MDs, by the way. I mean, dentists, mental health professionals. With ZocDoc, you can book in-network appointments with more than 100,000 doctors across every single specialty. Mental health, dental health, primary care, urgent care. I used it to find a gerontologist for my mom. I mean, it's just fantastic. And what I love about it is you can filter The doctors in your search, you can say, I want doctors who'll take my insurance. I want doctors that are located within a certain radius, nearby, or I'm willing to drive a little bit. You can find doctors that are a good fit for any medical need you may have. And the thing I really love, the patient reviews. You could say, I want doctors that are highly rated by verified patients. That's super, super useful. You can also filter kind of on your preferences, whether that's looking for a male doctor or a doctor that speaks a specific language, has availability that fits with your work schedule, has an opening tomorrow, for instance. Once you find the right doctor, you can see their actual appointment openings, choose a time slot that works for you, and click to instantly book a visit. Oh, this is another great thing about ZocDoc. Appointments made through ZocDoc happen fast, typically within 24 to 72 hours of booking. More often than not, you can even get same-day appointments. I love ZocDoc. I use it, and you should too. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/MacBreak to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/MacBreak. ZocDoc.com/MacBreak. Thank you, ZocDoc. I missed this. There was we should have put this in the Vision Pro. Well, don't play the theme again.
No.
There's a new immersive elevated episode. What is the elevated?
That's like a screensaver, but more immersive.
Well, how could it be narrated by Tim Robbins if it's a screensaver?
Well, it's those very slow aerial shots that go over a terrain.
Now you can go over Maine.
Yes, but with some sound. It's not just like a screensaver.
Tim Robbins, the star of The Shawshank Redemption.
Have you ever wanted him to narrate a screensaver? Now you can.
Now it's like you're in the sewage pipe with them.
They're beautiful. Their first one was Hawaii, and it was nice, but it is, of all the things that Apple's produced, to me, it's the most nothing, because it really is just sort of like, what if aerial screensavers, but
fall is more than 4 seasons. It's a feeling.
Get out of that silo.
The woodchuck lives
I think
in
the problem
climes.
is, I just don't think that in general, I don't think that the headset lends itself to stuff that's more than 30 feet away.
Yeah, far off.
And so 30 feet is like the outer edge.
So you don't gain anything by looking at it?
It's not going to use your spatial, right? It's really going to be that it's immersive, that it's a 180.
It's a screensaver. This could be the aerial screensaver with narration, right?
But right, Alex, it's like, because you have no depth perception at all. It really is just that it fills your field of view.
It's not quite sharp enough for that much data. And so when I saw the first one, I was not, I feel bad.
It's the least interesting of all.
Because I would get feedback on that, but I just didn't. I don't get the aerial shots at all. I don't get wide shots at all. I'm kind of like, I think that the Vision Pro is really powerful under 30 feet, and more than 30 feet, I'm kind of like,
fall. It's more than the 4th season.
Yeah,
it's.
I think if you gave me close-ups of fall somewhere,
awesome.
like in spaces with falling leaves and rivers and stuff like that, I think I'd be more interested.
Fall. Join me in the sewer pipe as we escape from fall. I did mention you got to go to work because Apple has announced that the day before Halloween it will report its Q4 results.
Spooky earnings.
Spooky results.
Yeah, no, this is the one where we always have to say it's only got a couple of weeks of iPhone sales in it, so it's not going to really tell you a lot. But usually when they talk to the analysts afterward, they will characterize how iPhone sales have been going, over the previous 6 weeks, beyond what's in the data.
And early indications are it's going very well, right?
Seems like, all those reports are very hard to track, and it seems like they're selling a lot of iPhone Pros, which is what they want because they make the most money on those. And so, we'll get a first hint of it, but the real big quarter is the holiday quarter, which we'll hear about in January. So this will be, because this is it ends in late September. It's not quite on the same, it's not month by month, it's weeks. It's like a 12 or 13 week quarter. So it will be late September. So it's really only going to be a couple weeks of iPhone sales. A lot of that just washes out because you've got a whole month or a whole quarter worth of sales data. So we'll get some clues. We'll get some clues about how Apple spent its summer and early fall.
Morgan Stanley, which I don't know, they must have. They're analysts. They're telling their clients to invest in Apple. They say the iPhone 17 cycle is modestly stronger than we originally expected, and adding that while the market has already priced this in, there is a positive bias to T12M estimates. I don't even know what that is. This is why I don't invest. And the early drivers of iPhone 17 strength get us more excited about the iPhone 18 cycle. Oh, okay.
Of course.
Okay. All right. I'm even more excited about the 18, they say. No one knows about iPhone Air. That's a big question mark. I note they don't mention it. It's still not for sale in China.
Yeah, and I would make the argument that we're not going to know for a while, because I think that's a grower. I think that a lot of the people who buy phones the first 2 weeks are tech nerds who care about specs, and they're all going to buy the Pro. And then the holidays, maybe we'll see some of it then, but I just think the Air is one of those things that if it's going to work, it's going to take some time.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that this was designed to replace any product that's already in the iPhone line. I think it's to attract a type of user that we're just like, okay, I suppose I want an iPhone, so I suppose I'll get the closest one to what I want. But this year they're looking at this and saying, this is what I want. And that'll give them all the information that they need to know to continue to make more phones that are like that.
Yeah, and they're not going to care that there's one fewer GPU core, or that it throttles more because the heat dissipation, it only has the one camera, which is a very good camera, but there's only the one. They're going to be like, look at this, it's awesome, and done, right? And I think that, or they're going to see somebody with one and go, whoa, I can't believe it. We'll see that may only translate to it's going to do 8% of iPhone sales instead of 5%. But Apple knows why Mini and Plus sales were not good enough. And and as we said before, the other advantage of the Air, in addition to it being cool, is they're learning a lot in public to teach them how to make phones like this in the future, not just that folding model next year, but you really get the sense that, like, over time, we are going to be talking a lot about more and more tech getting stuffed up in the little plateau and having all of the rest of it be battery and screen, because it makes sense that you'd build phones like that. So I think we'll see more and more of that over time too. But
we'll said something kind of interesting a couple of times now. I'm very curious. Both the Vision Pro and the Air, you're implying, are valuable products because they're not necessarily themselves the product they intend to sell. They are learning about something for the future. Has Apple done that in the past? I don't feel like Steve Jobs ever cared what anybody thought.
I think that they did that in the Apple One. It was a board.
That was not the same Apple.
I'll give you some. I mean, I think the best example is the original MacBook Air in 2008, 2009, which was not that. I had one, not that good. But so thin and so light. And the fact is, do you
think that they released it with the intent of, okay, we know this isn't the product we're going for, but this is a way to find out what we should do?
Because it was, I mean, it's got a lot of baggage, but minimum viable product. I think they realized that at that point, that Air was good enough that people would really enjoy it, which I would say the iPhone Air is way more usable than the MacBook Air was by comparison. But like that, this is what people want from this product. There are people who want a thinner and lighter product, are willing to have it be slower and have all of these other connectivity issues because it's thin and light. And of course, over time, they knew that they were going to be iterating on that, and they were going to do another Air that would be better and another one that would be better. And then, I also think that they were thinking in the long run, we'll probably make all of our laptops this way, even though we can't do that right now. It's not practical. And then over a decade, that's exactly what happened. The Pro became airified, essentially. And I think that is sort of what's going on here.
For most hardware companies, I think Apple especially, what you're using today is 3 or 4 generations behind what most of the team is working on.
Right.
They 2 years out, they're really worried about how the fab works, right? And and making sure that they can produce them at volume. But so I think that in all cases, it's an iterative process.
That's the pitch that Steve Jobs gave Bill Atkinson to hire Bill Atkinson. He says the stuff you're using is stuff from 2 years back. If you want to use the latest stuff, you have to work for Apple.
Yeah.
So it's been that way for a long time. I just feel like Steve really, he made a big deal about, I don't use focus groups. I know what, if you ask people what what color car or whatever. They're going to tell you I want a faster horse.
I'll tell you, he didn't listen to focus groups, but he looked at sales figures.
Yeah.
And intuited, like, I mean, the
I
iPhone
think he would have
Air,
released a subpar product, though, with the idea that, okay, but we're going to iterate on this and we're going to have a better product.
I don't think he thought the
iPhone 4.
MacBook Air was a subpar product. I think that for tech nerds, it was a subpar product, but what it got right and shot below par. Isn't subpar good? Anyway, only in golf. It was so thin and light.
That's very confusing.
It was so thin and light that the MacBook Air was a win as a thin and light laptop, even though it had lots of issues. I think that if Steve had looked at that and said, well, this thing is bad and no one will buy it because it has no positive qualities, they wouldn't have shipped it. Yeah. But a bunch of people, bought it because despite its weaknesses, it had those strengths of being thin and light. I think that's the magic. Is you can't make a product that literally nobody wants, but you can make a product that is going to have a specific point of view that is going to really hit some people hard, and other people are going to be like, no, it doesn't have the cameras, doesn't have the battery, I'm not going to use it. Fair enough. Like, the iPhone Pro is so good that it's okay. You don't need to buy the iPhone Air. The iPhone Air is there for people who are like, I don't care, I have to have it. And like, that's and it does have those characteristics. And so did the MacBook Air. As broken as that first one was, it really did. And very quickly they got it to be much better.
Yeah, I keep thinking back to when I think this conversation about the MacBook Air. There's a story about the development of the Apple IIc, where Steve Jobs walks into the appropriate executive's office, lays down like an existing like Apple II motherboard, lays down on top of it a small keyboard, lays down on top of it a half-byte 5 1/4 drive, and says, "That is a great product. We should be making this." That's the sort of vibe that I keep getting year after year about what the original MacBook Air was. It was, now I can top your story. I had a loaner from Apple like the day that it was released, and I took it a week later on a week-long conference as my sole computer. I know pain, sir. I know suffering.
Yeah, my favorite.
I know what the bad points of that device are.
Man.
But I keep thinking that this is something that Steve Jobs would have said, that is a great product, let's make it. And if it's not going to be great for the first time, it's still a great product, let's make it.
I still, as someone shooting a lot with my 17 Pro, I can't even imagine not having the lenses. Like, I can't, it's like out of my reality.
That's
my
right.
wife now, if we're in the same room, my wife just wants me to shoot the photos. Like, she's like, I don't even, because I shot a picture of my daughter playing drums. This is another one that I shot on Friday. 60 feet away, full frame, 4K, totally still. Like, she's on a stage. I'm sitting in the audience in the back, just shooting all the way through it and just looking at this going, I'm handheld. I was like, I cannot believe that I'm doing this with a phone. Like, it was absurd, and I have to say that I didn't think the 8X would matter. It matters.
Really does.
It does matter. And so anyway, I think that, I've had a couple friends buy the Air. I think I mentioned this before, and they've already moved to the Pro and given the Air to their wife. like this will fit better. But I think that the 17 is a huge. I didn't get the 16, so for me the 17 is a big jump up from the 15.
By the way, those stats, you read, since Apple doesn't tell us how well the Air's selling or the Pro or whatever. You often get them from other sources like AppLovin. We've probably quoted AppLovin on sales figures or app store figures. Turns out maybe they're not the best company in the world. They're being probed now by the Security and Exchange Commission because apparently they are collecting information. They violated. So AppLovin is built into many different apps. They violated the partner service agreements and pushed more targeted advertising to consumers. And apparently AppLovin said, we don't want to talk about it. But it did hurt them yesterday in the stock market. It's responding to, the SEC is responding to a whistleblower complaint. This is from Bloomberg, filed earlier this year, as well as multiple short seller reports. Interesting. So the regulator, SEC, has not accused AppLovin of wrongdoing. But they are looking into it. We're looking into it. Reports from short sellers Fuzzy Panda and Muddy Waters, I'm not making this up, accused AppLovin of abusing its position within the mobile advertising ecosystem to harvest proprietary identifiers from other platforms in an unauthorized manner to track users across different websites and apps and retarget them with advertising. We know this happens. We've seen this not just with AppLovin. We've seen it happen with others. It is prohibited in theory by Apple, and by the way, was barred by Google until February. Not anymore. Another reason maybe to keep using an iPhone. Have you seen the new Apple 8-minute ad about the blue screen of death? This was hysterical, I have to say. I mean, it's a little broad. The premise is these 4 people, and I guess they've used them in
they're recurring characters.
Yeah.
Part of the Apple cinematic universe. I
can't show it without getting taken down because even though it's an ad for Apple, they apparently don't want me to show it. But the thing was poking fun at the CrowdStrike. Remember this CrowdStrike problem last year? Millions of Windows machines booted to the blue screen of death and couldn't be brought back because of a pushed update from CrowdStrike. So the idea is the underdogs, or a fictional company going to a packaging trade show. They're really trying to sell their green packaging, but there's a lot of competition there until the competition, which all ironically uses PCs, gets shut down by the CrowdStrike blue screen. And of course, the underdogs are using all Apple, and they show throughout the ad a bunch of Apple, features like continuity.
Yeah, they're in the packaging business, and so all of the shorts that they do are like, oh, now they're going across the seas to a trade show to try to sell a Asian retailer who needs 1 million boxes. No, now they need 2 million boxes. This one is funny because they're trying to land a really big fish at this convention, who is not Robert Downey Jr., but it's totally Robert Downey Jr. Okay?
Oh, that's interesting.
And they're trying to basically sell their biodegradable pagging. And
he does look like
units.
Robert Downey Jr.
He's got the fancy Iron Man sunglasses and everything.
Yeah. Of course, he is wearing AirPods, so he's as a result, we know he's not a villain. Although
and in the end, they help out their competitors.
Isn't that sweet?
We'll let them have Apple products so they can get their booth back up and running because we feel sorry for them.
At the end of the commercial, there's a guy going through the convention hall with a cart of Mac Minis that he's handing out to everybody so that they can get back into operation. It's pretty funny. I enjoyed it.
It's good. It's good, silly fun. I think to me, it's like the analog of Google's best phones forever campaign.
Yeah.
Which is occasionally where it's not like, we're going to basically make fun of the opposition. We're just going to basically live in the same world. Our products live in the same world and they have to relate to them. And they're we don't have to be jerks about it, but we're going to show off what we think is best about our platform. And I really do love this line of, again, if they decided to do a Christmas special, I'm not even joking. Instead of another 8-minute video, if they decided to do a 30-minute Apple TV Plus Christmas special, the actors are great, the characters are great. It's shot
and they do
like a little.
There's
thing.
a little Severance, tiny little Severance cameo in it, but there's also a Severance callback because the underdog team looks across the aisle at the competitor, and they're a kind of a bizarro world duplicate of the team, down to the same archetypes for all 4 members, and that's of course happened in Severance. I thought it was nice. I imagine they get a lot of money for those.
I hope so.
Yeah, I'm sure the production. Do you know anything? Do you know the production company, Alex? Do you know anything about these?
I don't know anything.
They're very well produced. They must spend millions.
It's
on
great
these
stuff.
Everything Apple does is well produced, and so they spend millions on. So it's they just throw money at the problem, and there's nothing. And I think that. So I don't know anything about this production specifically, but it's sure it's
pretty cool.
I spent all. It's incredible. I've had the opportunity to work on a couple things that are tangentially related, and it just really, you don't get to do production like that very often. where you go, well, we get like the show.
Do you look at it and think, boy, I bet the catering was really good on that show?
I know the catering was good. And it had all the things, if you were vegan, if you were this, if you were that, if you were, I'm sure it had all of those things were figured out. Yeah.
And I also like to think about like how Jason probably knows about this documentary Bathtubs Over Broadway, which was a great documentary produced by like a former like Letterman writer about like these industrial like musicals that used to go on in like the 50s and 60s, and how like everybody who was involved in it were like real Broadway talent, and they loved the idea of having to write this whole show and produce this whole show about the new Frigidaires, because it meant that this one will pay me so much money that I can afford to still be a poor struggling actor for another year and a half. And so I kind of want to check out the IMDb's for these people, because I imagine that it has the same sort of role. So long as Apple decides to do one or two of these a year, they can continue to be actors looking for like that next big thing. And they're all really, really good talent.
I think that there was something about, I saw an interview, I think with Devo, and it was like some random song, almost random song that they did that was pulled out of their library has basically paid everything. like all the, and it was on some random show.
Ask Roger Daltrey how much they made off of Won't Get Fooled Again, simply because it's the theme for CSI.
Yeah,
but I would just give it to them, because doesn't it put those things back on the charts? I mean, isn't it the best published?
But it's nothing like the money that you get for the replay. I mean, you look at like Ed talking about with Bare Naked Ladies, with the theme song that they did for
the Big Bang Theory.
The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah,
I mean, just printed money. Like literally, there's a printing press that just spits out money every time that plays back. So
I'm glad they made money. Great. Good, they deserve it.
There's a great, by the way, I don't know where it is. Somewhere on YouTube, there's a great thing where he explains how he just wrote it at the last minute because he didn't know who the people were, and his wife said, "You need to really pay attention to this," and he quickly wrote something together, and that's the song. So
wow,
wow,
it's a good story.
Yeah.
Let's see what else is going on. Apple has apparently removed the claims of being carbon neutral from the Apple Watch and the iPhone, I guess because the EU or somebody in the EU complained about it.
Yeah, there's some degree of carbon offsets that Apple is purchasing where they're planting trees, but it's like trees on leased land. That there's this whole issue about like, are you really?
It's hard to be carbon neutral. We try to do this. We pay carbon credits for our usage, not only when we travel, but as a company, because we want to do something right. But unless you put solar panels it's pretty hard to buy carbon neutral power everywhere. And so
but this technique's a little bit. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I interrupted you.
I was just going to say what you need to do is buy land that ideally used to be forest and isn't now, and plant trees and guarantee that you will never cut them down, or buy land that's threatened. I mean, there are ways to do that, but the problem is a lot of it
Germany,
is like the
Frankfurt Regional Court
some land.
found that Apple misled consumers because the forestry offset projects that they were buying in Paraguay had lease agreements expiring in 2029. Far short of the 2050 timeframe consumers would reasonably expect for carbon neutrality. I had no idea that I had a reasonable expectation for carbon neutrality.
I was really waiting. I really expected 2021.
Well, in addition to these things, I'm sure that Apple was working in good faith to try to make their goals. So I don't really blame them that much. But these are really, really controversial because they're typically done by, let's get a whole bunch of land that is already being used by the people who live there. We will plant an invasive species that does not exist. Right. And now the people who used to need that land for grazing, for pasture land, now doesn't have it anymore. Plus you have all these plants there that don't, they're planted there because they're so good at sucking up carbon stuff from the atmosphere, but they're not supposed to be there to begin with.
I will tell you, as someone who experienced some of this planting for different reasons in the early 80s, the state of Pennsylvania had a thing about planting trees that if you wouldn't have to pay taxes on any part of your land if there were trees on it. So any field that wasn't particularly good, we would plant pine trees, and they'd send them to you. They'd send you these packs of pine trees to put in. And I can tell you 40 years later or 50 years later, pretty cool. Like it is rows, because what we did is we put a pole on a tractor wheel and then just drove, and it just dumped a hole every.
That's fun.
And then we just, I didn't. One of us would take turns. I mean, we were like 12 years old or something like that. So one of us would be on the tractor, one of us would be with the putting things down, and one of us would be pouring water and putting the thing in. And now you go back, and it's the craziest pine tree. Like these are huge pine trees that are all perfectly spaced, and pine trees. There's like 4 feet of pine needles, and I'm not sure if that's what they're doing, but I'm just saying, if you want to shoot a movie, look for these places.
Whole bunch of cool birds and critters there that weren't there before too.
So the German court ruled that this was greenwashing and that it really wasn't environmentally friendly. I think really there's a larger problem in other areas. For instance, iFixit says the AirPods Pro 3 still a tragedy. The repairability is zero.
Yeah.
And it's been that way since day one, right? I mean, these AirPods.
Apple's doing a lot of really great work in trying to make their phones, their devices, a lot easier to repair. Or at least not hostile. They used to be absolutely hostile against repair. But this is where I can give Apple a little bit of a slack. If you want to have a battery in a device that's small, you really just got to destroy the whole thing to get into it, and that's a fact of life. It's one of the reasons why I'm not sure how I feel about smart rings, where they're great technology, but they are a $300 and $400 device that is just going to be disposable in 3 years' time, and you can't upgrade, you can't swap out the batteries, you can't. It's going to just simply die.
Nothing that small is going to be replaceable.
Yeah, exactly.
Even the case on the AirPods are not repairable, though, which maybe they could be.
That's a problem.
Yeah. So iFixit gives the AirPods Pro 3 a 0 in repairability. Sound great, track your heart rate, handle a dunk in water, but when it comes to repairability, still a 0 out of 10. That's to me more of an issue than whether Apple's buying trees in Paraguay. But
well, again, it's like, what could they be doing to design that earpod so that this could be repairable and this could be renewable? And I just don't know how that's even possible. So either we decide that this entire product line, which is so great in so many different ways, is just not sustainable and not something we should be supporting, or we simply accept that, you know what, as we're arguing over like how much recycled content is going into this box, there's an oil company that's dumping 80 million gallons per second into wetlands. So maybe it's okay.
There's a lot of issues. Although
the biggest problem.
I remember I was pretty upset about the loss of wired headphones. Remember, there's no battery in wire headphones.
I still have a USB-C to wired headphone adapter.
Isn't it ironic that now if you want to listen to lossless audio, you have to get a wire for your AirPods Pro Max or your Bose Quiet Comforts? They're wired again.
It's a lot of bandwidth.
Yeah. We are going to see some new products. You think, are we going to see them this month or next month? Gurman says there's at least 5 products
just
ready
as
to
good
come
as
out.
Mine. Although if I had to guess, I would say that given that the results are coming on the 30th, they frequently do it right before the results. So it would be Tuesday the 28th, maybe ish.
Okay.
But I haven't seen any dates reported. It's also, the question is really, will there be an event that they invite media to and all that, or will they just do what they often do, which is roll things out in the morning and then all of us in the media get a briefing later that day and then they FedEx us some stuff to review. It really is kind of, they've done it both ways. This is the one, I think the last couple of years, they've had an event in New York. This is the Jason flies to New York for a day to get Apple products kind of thing. But they might do that. They did that with the M4 iPad Pro. Maybe they'll do it again. But yeah, if I had to throw a dart at the board, I would say if there's an event of a sort, it would be the 28th-ish, just a guess. And if they have products to roll out and they're going to roll them out quietly, I still kind of feel like doing it the week of the 27th and then doing your financial results on the Thursday makes the most sense to me. But we don't know. Nobody's reported anything. That's just based on history.
I think they also probably, it's the veracity of the products that they're releasing, whether they think that those are going to be, something they want to talk about in the quarterly or something they just want to serve people up with. So, I think that
they usually like mentioning it on the quarterly. Oh, we and just this week we had a new iPad with the amazing M5 processor and blah blah blah. Right? They prefer to do that. It's not a must. They could do it in November. They could do it in December. They could really do it whenever. But I think that if you're loading the channel up with new iPads and some other stuff for the holiday quarter, sooner is better.
Well, yeah, and do the press release because Justine isn't going to come to the event. She's way too busy making Sora videos. She is prolific would be one way to describe it on Sora. These are just the videos of her.
I mean, I think pig.
Yes, so, there's a lot of them with pigs.
There's a lot of people doing them with her cameo, so they're not all.
Yes,
her,
well,
right?
I did the same thing. She has said the cameo is your avatar that you design when you first sign up for Sora, and I did the same thing, realizing that you can't really control it, so you might as well. I mentioned on Twitter, it gives me plausible deniability that if everybody has access to my avatar, then no video you see of me really can be trusted ever again.
So
here we are bouncing on a trampoline with bunnies
and a pig.
I'm just adding myself to the beta list. Thank you. That was a good argument. That was a very good argument.
You might as well just double down. I mean, if you can have JFK in the shopping market, you can shopping for frozen goods. And Kraft macaroni and cheese, you can pretty much do anything. This is the number one app on the App Store.
It's magical. Like I just have to say, like I've spent the last couple of days playing with it, and now I'm mostly doing just geeky stuff with it. But I have to say that the funny thing about the pig, by the way, is that I believe that the owner of the cameo can add something to your prompt, so they can say anytime someone uses my cameo, it comes with this prompt. And
is that why Justine, the pig keeps showing up?
I think Justine added with a pig. so I think that was.
It's a very cute pig. Here she is with a pig. Actually, she's with Jake Paul and a pig. Yeah. Who's the pig? I'm not sure. But anyway, it's pretty amazing. So when you made the cameo, by the way, you make the cameo very quickly and easily. You say 3 random numbers, which I think is to keep you from making a cameo of somebody else's image, because it's different every time. And it somehow captures your voice from that and does a fairly good job.
I haven't done the cameo. I'm just playing with the app.
Oh, okay.
So I've been, and so I just been making stuff, on the app. I haven't been ready to do any cameos. so anyway, didn't need that part.
Yeah, you probably don't need that part.
So the. But you can just do, just tell it things and give it prompts and everything else. I think the cameos are fun, but there's a lot of things in there that are oh, there you go.
That's me and Sam Altman doing a TikTok dance. Here I am with Anthony Nielsen also doing a TikTok dance. This is actually my favorite one here.
My name's Leo. I'm out here trying to get back on my feet. I heard you might have an extra Sora invite. If you could spare one, it would mean the world to me. I promise I won't waste it. Just trying to get a fresh start, Hey there.
It kind of sounds like me, right?
A little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I only read 3 numbers.
Portable telephones. The entire transmitter and receiver are contained in this single case, and it weighs a shade under 5 pounds.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way. I would not be wiring $32,000 to rescue you from the terrorists who kidnapped you if that was the video that they sent.
I'm going to make one. Andy, quick. I need money.
And no, that's where I know it's fraud, because I'm a freelance journalist in a classic market. You know that I'd give you $8 and
you're the wrong guy, I guess. Yeah.
I think that the thing that I'm constantly surprised by is normally I see things coming and I go, I can see where this is going to go. And AI is the first time I just keep getting surprised at how fast it's moving. Like it's
incredible.
It's
remember 2 years ago, Will Smith couldn't eat a plate of spaghetti.
Yep.
Now he can be eating a plate of spaghetti with John F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
And it looks real. It's kind of, we're at the point where I think it's pretty close to indistinguishable from the real thing.
It's at the point.
Yeah, the danger, or not, it's not danger. I just wanted to say, isn't it quaint that we once again have reached the point in computers where we're constrained on power and we have to sit and wait for things to. That's the thing that struck me about it is I put in those prompts and then it starts spinning and it's like come back in 4 minutes to get your video. And I know what it's doing is amazing and like that it can do it in 4 minutes is great. But I also think it's really funny that people who have never experienced having to wait for their computers to do things now have to do it. And from a business perspective, it means it shows you that this is why there's an insatiable desire to get more GPUs.
Yeah. It's like hearing a dial tone again. It's like, wait, what?
What?
I haven't heard that.
Waiting.
I haven't had that name in many years.
Well, and then you get really good at same thing with Midjourney. I just stack a whole bunch of them up and then I go do something else and I come back and it's like past me gave current me present me a gift of 6 new videos. And most of mine have been like historical recreations. Like I want to see Abraham Lincoln giving the Gettysburg Address, and
it's pretty wild,
and
only one very bad picture exists of that because it was such a short speech. It was only 2 minutes. The photographer thought he'd have a lot more time to focus the camera. Yeah. So the only picture they have of Lincoln in the Gettysburg Address is of Lincoln leaving. Yeah. He's a blurry figure going away. Yeah. I've lost. So now we have it because of Sora. Thank you.
I'm so with you, Alex. Like the number of times where I have like stayed up until 4 a.m. without intending it, simply because I was just testing out an image generator. And so, generate a panel of a comic book in which this is happening. And then I'm like, generate the next panel in which this is happening and this dialogue is happening. And I'm like, oh my God, I've just done like 60. I've just made like a very, very mediocre to bad, like 18-page comic book that looks beautiful. But I wish I had that extra 6 hours of sleep because it is so addictive and seductive.
I will say,
you can't believe what it can do.
I'm a managing AI addict in the sense that I don't lose big chunks of time anymore. I used to sit down for 4 hours. I'll fiddle with something for a little while, and then unless I need something, I mostly am just. It's kind of a constant flow during the day, but nothing. I don't stop and spend a lot of time on it unless I'm waiting for my kids to come.
I'm vulnerable during like my bedtime like wind down thing where I'm closing windows and closing tabs of Windows like that's right, I was checking out there was an update to Nano Banana. I wonder if it can now do this thing that it couldn't do, that it kept screwing up like the last time I tried it. And then it's like, okay, again, congratulations, Eddie, you have another mediocre to poor comic book. That's nonetheless one of the most amazing pieces of technology that you've ever seen in your entire life, but you could have used this time more productive.
What I think is really fascinating is how much you can just tell it what you want this person to do, and it goes and finds through all the written work and through everything else. It nails it. Pretty often.
Yeah. I won't turn this into an hour to a selling point for people as if I've just discovered AI just the other day. But I had a problem setting up a server. And before I got like 99% of the way, and there was a final like little problem that like I didn't instinctively know how to solve. And then at this point, I've been using Gemini for so long that I thought, I know, I'll just take screen grabs of these 2 or 3 configuration pages from these 2 or 3 separate stages in like the configuration, say, hey, I keep getting this error when I try to do this. Here's what I've got it set at. What's the problem? And just immediately said, that's a common thing. You need to go into the setting, this page of settings for this service and uncheck this box. And I'll be damned. I unchecked that box. And I saved myself 3 weeks of deciding, okay, I guess I'm not meant to be a system administrator at all.
I will say that logo or not, and Sora's pretty good at putting up these little logos that people are trying to get rid of at times and everything else.
There are about 18 apps now that can do that, by the way.
I will say that logo or not, anything that looks outrageous now that I see on any feed, I assume that it's not real. Yeah. Like it's just, you can't show me something that I go, I would, and
it's made skeptics of I would hope all of us.
Even before AI, exactly. We should all have a certain amount of culture of media literacy to know that this is an absolutely authentic photo that was taken on film, shot on film on a Nikon F1 camera, but it is actually of not a political rally, but of a soccer stadium, and people are actually cheering for a soccer team. Always verify everything before you just decide anything from something you've seen. So
if it says Policia, it's probably best not to pretend it's Portland, Oregon. I'm just saying. That would be just the first thing I would say.
The thing is Benjamin Franklin was making up stories about his competitors, in his own rags, 250 years ago. So
it's a long-standing tradition, isn't it?
So the thing is, I don't think there's anything, particularly
part of our cultural heritage
new here. It's just that it's gotten to a point where I think it is important that people are literate enough to know that. And you see this a lot on X, where someone's like Grok, and Grok will sit there and go, "No, that's not true." Like it's no. Yeah.
Let's take a break. Andy Anako's here, but he's not for much longer. He's got to take off because the Boston Public Library closes.
Can I share something with you?
Yes.
So there's like a whole wall of these like little rooms you can book.
Yeah.
And it's a kind of glass.
We used to call them study carols. Yes.
Exactly. And 15 minutes ago, I'm not lying to you, I'm not making this up, a man in a floor-length black cape holding a long wooden staff approached the door, looked into the door, as though he was, oh no, the hobbits aren't in number 4. They're supposed to be
You shall
6.
not pass!
And I'm like, this could go in so many different ways depending on...
Wow.
Nothing like an interaction makes you think, am I the Balrog?
That's Jason Snell once again on point, and
I'm just going to add that to the show title.
yeah, I think that's definitely a show title. And Alex Lindsay's also here. Our show today, speaking of AI, there are lots of ways to use AI in your life. This is one of the tools I've been using for years, made even better with AI. I'm talking about our sponsor for this segment of MacBreak Weekly, Zapier. Obviously on these shows we cover trends, and of course the trend of the minute, the hour, the day, the week, the month is AI. But talking about trends doesn't necessarily make you better, more efficient at work, right? For that, you need the right tools. You need Zapier. I've been using Zapier for years. It's what I use because I spend a lot of time every single day going through tech news stories, bookmarking them. And Zapier will take my bookmark and will process it. It'll put it out on Twit Social as a link. It will put it in a Google spreadsheet so the producers can put it in our rundowns. It does all this wonderful processing. I've been using Zapier for a lot of automation. But now Zapier's even better. Zapier's helping you break the hype cycle and put AI to work across your company. So what is Zapier? I should probably explain. Zapier is automation made easy. In fact, I would say now because of AI, it is an AI orchestration platform. It's how you actually deliver on your AI strategy and not just talk about it. With Zapier's AI orchestration platform, you can bring the power of AI to any workflow. And this has always been Zapier's secret sauce, is they have more than 8,000 connected apps, everything from Google Docs to websites to RSS to all the apps you use. Now you can bring the power of AI to it so you can do more of what matters. You connect top AI models and they have them all, ChatGPT and Claude, to the tools your team is already using. So you can stick the AI exactly where you need it, whether that's AI-powered workflows, an autonomous agent, a customer chatbot. Yes, they have a whole bunch of customer interfacing connections, or anything. You can orchestrate almost anything with Zapier. Zapier, by the way, is so easy to use. It's for everyone. You don't have to be a tech expert to use it. And that's the other thing I love about it. I don't have to spend a lot of time thinking about coding something up. I can just have Zapier automated. Teams have already automated over 300 million AI tasks using Zapier. So even if you've used Zapier in the past, I want you to take a look at Zapier today, because with AI, it's amazing. Join the millions of businesses transforming how they work with Zapier and AI. Get started for free by visiting zapier.com/MacBreak. That's ZAPIER.com/MacBreak. That's pretty much nothing you can't do with Zapier and AI. It's amazing. Zapier.com/MacBreak. We thank them for supporting MacBreak Weekly. Apparently, the Crossbody Strap is a hit. Either that or they didn't make very many, because it's still way out, back ordered. Did any of you, I know you got some from Apple, Jason. Have you been using it?
They're still in the box. I need to try that. I need to walk the dog with the crossbody strap. I have friends who have used it and really liked it, but I just haven't had a chance.
So if you order now, you're going to get delivery in November.
Yeah, I have them in a box here, though.
So I know you have them.
I'll be
I know
okay. Anybody want some? Come over to my house. I got an extra.
It depends on the color, apparently. They come in a variety of colors. Although even the Apple Store may not have all the colors you want. Let's see what Amazon, because you can get the crossbody strap from Amazon as well. The thing is, there's October 31st through November 23rd, even for Prime members. Usually ships within 1 to 2 months. That's the Sienna.
That'll change.
See.
And then colors can also be, if you don't know what it's going to do, you don't make too many at first.
Maybe that's it. Also, it depends on the color. Like, you can get the green one pretty quick. You can get the white one within 1 to 2 months. Orange. I need orange because I have an orange phone. 1 to 2 months. Wow.
What about the yellow one? Because the yellow one just looks so ugly.
It's so hideous. but you won't be run over easily. Yeah, you can get that one quicker. October 24th, maybe.
Because yuck.
It's kind of a safety color. Yeah. Exactly. Well, you should wear that when you go out.
If you're an event crew and you're like, I don't need a jacket that has all the reflective stuff. I've got a
crossbody strap.
Strap.
Yeah. They should make a purple one so that if you're like a Catholic priest, you can put it on to give confessions.
Oh yeah, be part of your regalia. Yeah. That's a good idea. All right, it must have been a slow week for Mark Gurman, because once again he's talking Succession, and he's always thought John Ternus was probably the next CEO of Apple. Why is he talking about it again? Is there anything?
There isn't a whole lot in the piece, because the headline is very, very like explosive, and it got so much play everywhere because it's such a great headline. But mostly he's like, oh well, so and so is getting old, and so has said something about how maybe at some point he doesn't intend to die at 82 as an Apple employee, so that means he's probably thinking of moving. The only couple of things that were in this piece that I thought were. I don't know if they were like, I wouldn't call them smoking guns, but at least interesting, were the idea that his impression that Apple PR seems to be profiling a certain executive, the head of hardware, as though they want this person to be more visible as part of the senior corporate team. The other tidbit that I kind of highlighted in my head was that they are considering hiring outside from Meta to get a new direction for AI again. But it doesn't. It doesn't merit the headlines that this thing's been.
It feels like he's recycled his story, to be honest with you.
Look, Mark is a really good reporter. Having to do a newsletter every week, Mark does not have 50 scoops a year.
Yeah.
He just doesn't. And so you get these weeks where it's just like people are paying for Bloomberg to get the Mark Gurman newsletter, and it doesn't come out only when he's got something to say. It comes out every week. I mean, we've all been there. This podcast happens every week, whether we got anything to say or not.
That's true. We've been there. We have.
How it goes. And he's only one man. He's but one. We can survey the entirety of the world.
That's true.
Mark Gurman is just one man.
But one man.
Even a good reporter, he's not going to have it every week. I feel bad for him, actually, because it's one of those things where, look, he's doing great. He's gotten promoted. He's got a lot going on. He's had a great career, and he's a very good reporter. But this one is like, Mark, you got to do a newsletter every week. And he's like, okay. But he just doesn't have scoops every week, nor should he. And it's fine. But so he has to kind of recycle or puntitize or do whatever he
Tim Cook will turn 65 next month. I mean, that's normally the retirement age, right?
I mean, is it anymore?
Yeah, I guess not.
I mean, if you're taking good care of yourself, it's when you get tired of doing what you're doing.
Also, with so many of these senior executives, they've got so much money. You wonder why they've been working for the past 18 years of their lives, let alone they're working now. So there must be something keeping Tim Cook there. Exactly.
Yeah.
What is he going to do? Like from 5 a.m.
I don't think he plays golf
until midnight.
So maybe he should take up a hobby.
I think it'd be hard to find something else that's challenging, and so I think that's and I think
Yeah, I think you don't become at this level at Apple without being so committed to it that that's all you have in your life.
Right.
And this is the side effect of that, which is what else you're going to do. And although we credited Jeff Williams, he's stepping away. Phil Schiller's still there, but I do get the sense that Phil Schiller has backed off, and he's on boards and stuff. But Tim Cook, I don't know. It feels to me like he's sort of singularly focused on this, and so I think he's going to want to do it as long as he can, or at least as long as he feels like it benefits Apple. Because we said this about Steve. It's true about Tim now too. It's kind of his life's work. Like this is what everybody. This is line one of the obituary. This is what everybody's going to know him for. And I think he wants to take Apple and leave it in a good place. And right now things are really. I was talking about this with my colleague Dan Morin, who really firmly believes he will not leave during this administration, right? He feels that he is the best person to navigate what's going on right now and keep Apple up and running. And be that as it may, I don't see he's going anywhere anytime soon.
I still think that one of the many reasons that I still think we're going down the road of glasses and the Vision platform and everything else is Tim's project.
Right.
This is not. Right. This is everything else has been Steve's projects. And so I think that this is so I think that could be. I think he might be when this, whatever form it takes over the next 5 to 10 years. At some point when that has proven to be successful, I think that's
it's the equivalent of the Super Bowl ring. You got to have the product that defined your career.
Because all the products that make all the money for Apple right now are still at least gestating.
And even, I guess he could take credit for Apple Silicon, right?
Absolutely.
That's a pretty good product.
Guys, I got to roll. There might be someone who needs this room in about a minute and a half.
All right.
So
the hobbits are there. I can tell they're outside the door. So get on out.
They got the whole fellowship.
Have a great week. We'll see you next week.
Put some books on those shelves.
Say hi to the fellowship for us.
And that ring, don't put it on. Whatever you do,
don't do it.
It's so tempting, but don't.
I don't recommend it.
iOS 26.1 Beta 2 is out for developers. Anything? Have you played with it?
Big iPad news this time. Actually, they changed something. They changed the way you cancel an alarm, which I know is really bugging people. It's like there's a slide to cancel now. The big iPad news is with all that new multitasking that they added. Yeah. One of the things that they didn't add is they took away is slide over, which was the original multitasking. The idea that you could have like a little app off to the side and then you could swipe and bring it in and then kind of swipe and put it back out. And
I remember people were complaining about losing it.
So this is one of those cases where I think Apple internally just didn't think about it. They were like, no, but this is going to be so much better and we're going to get rid of all the old multitasking. And they did actually do a split view sort of within there, but not a slide over. So they added slide over in this beta. It's in there now, which is cool.
So remind me what slide over is, because I don't know the words for it. I've probably done it.
It's when you stick an app off the side and then you can swipe to bring it in and then swipe to make it go away again.
Oh, I thought I still had that.
No, not in 26.
Oh, okay. Sometimes I'll be using an app and then the little edge of it will be on the right there if I accidentally do something.
You can stick an app on the edge, but this is a full on like it disappears and then it reappears.
It disappears completely. Oh, okay. So it's back, baby.
Yeah, it's back, and you can do it with a menu bar or a keyboard shortcut or whatever,
or the green icon in the app window.
You tap and hold.
That gets big when you tap it,
and choose slide over. If you've got a keyboard, though, the best thing is you can do globe. It's like globe option left or right will just kick the frontmost window in there, and then you do globe / to make it slide in and slide out, which is really, if you're using an iPad with a keyboard, it's pretty great. And this solves that issue. I think the bottom line, I wrote about it in my review, like people find great value in kind of keeping an app around, but to be quickly accessed, but then sent away again, hovering, and it hovers over all the other windows, so you can see it, and then and now you can with Beta 2 you can resize it, so you can make it tall or short or wide, and it still just slides off the side. It can be left side or right side. Some people use this feature, the old version of it, to have like a bunch of apps that they would switch between.
Oh, so you can have multiple apps slid over?
And you can't do that in 26. And personally, I think if you're going to do that, you should just use multitasking. You should use all the windows.
Right.
Having a second set of, like, I think it's way too complicated. So it's like, if you want a window off to the side, you can now do that in this beta, developer beta. So that'll be coming in 26.1. I think that's really great. Also, for podcasters, one of the things when they added the local capture of audio, they failed to add a gain control in software. And so if your microphone came out of the gate hot and overmodulated, there's nothing you could do. Well, in beta 2, they added a slider so you can actually crank down the volume and make your microphone sound proper. So they're getting it. I mean, seriously, I read multiple reviews of iPadOS 26 that mentioned these two things as shortcomings, and to have them both be in beta 2 of 0.1, somebody that was paying attention, I think, which is great.
People are paying attention.
Yep.
There were a few other bugs. There's a bug affecting iMessage that they have fixed. There was a bug with Outlook that you couldn't sign up in mail for Outlook. There are a few bugs like that they're fixing.
And a lot of times, by the way, with some of those features, it's oftentimes in many companies, there's a conversation about whether people will miss it or not.
Right. And then they find out.
And so they comment it out. They don't like remove all the code. They just like, we're not going to compile that part. And then when people go, what?
They rebuilt it from scratch. I think this really is that they just culturally thought slide over was an artifact of the past and that they didn't need to build it, is my guess. Mm-hmm. It is funny that they did split view. If you do a side-by-side tile, it basically behaves just like split view. Right. But slide over, they're like, you just put a window wherever. And people said, no, we really want this to be the way it was. And so they have it now. And it's part of that mode. You have to be in multi-window mode to use it because it's an extra window, but really nice. Good feature.
Taylor Swift fans, good news. There is an iTunes exclusive version of The Life of a Showgirl, the deluxe edition. So if I had a cricket sound effect here, I would play it right now.
There's lots there. I mean, and also there's a Target. I mean, we're not a podcast about Target or whatever, but like there are exclusive versions everywhere of this. Taylor Swift knows how to market her album.
She's so smart.
The iTunes, there's always an iTunes exclusive one, and there are lots of others too.
Okay, so, thank you.
And
it's not news.
There's doors evidently in 12 cities with images and videos, and so there's lots.
Oh man, they know how to market, don't they?
Yeah, they're rolling it out.
Wow.
That's how you do it.
Yeah, that's how you do it.
They're better at it. I will argue that her team is better at it than anyone else in the world.
Yeah,
they are.
They're doing something right.
And they they just really understand their audience, they understand their customers to an incredible level, and know exactly what to do to have them be happy. So and want to buy more things.
Rivian CEO says you're never going to get CarPlay in Rivian. He says, I know some people won't buy our cars or trucks because of that. So be it.
Boo.
I'm glad they did that, because I really actually think the Rivians are really cool, and it would be.
Now I'm not going to buy one.
Conflicted, but as soon as I saw that, I was like, it just literally just was like, well, I'm never.
Off my list.
He's got the same disease as GM and as Tesla, which and what angers me is he tries to cloak it in lots of other things, right? It's like, oh well, we know you care, but in the end, it's the same egomania, which is. Car makers think that what's important is your car and not your smartphone, which is insane. That's just not true of anybody. Our smartphone is where all our lives are. It's not just in our car. It's everywhere we go. And these days, what they try to do is they try to poo-poo it and say, oh, but you're not going to have to worry because all of your apps are going to be there. And all of your apps is literally Spotify and Apple Music. and like, okay, but like my wife uses Libby to listen to audiobooks. I listen to podcasts in Overcast. And they're like, oh, well, you should use Apple Podcasts. And maybe they have like Audible or use Spotify for that. And it's like, but I don't want to. And I'm not going to change my life for you, car. I'm not going to do it. And so the answer is, well, I guess just use Bluetooth. But like, it is. I was talking to my wife about this because she doesn't care about the stuff we talk about at all, right? She just doesn't care, and she's like, "Oh, I don't care." She said, "Well, actually, I do use CarPlay because if my audiobook isn't playing, I can open the Libby app and I can start it playing. When I drive to work." And I was like, "Yes, well, on Rivian you can't."
You
On
won't have
Rivian,
the
you got to
Libby
take
app.
your phone out of your purse and unlock it and go to Libby and press play, because Rivian thinks that theirs is so cool that you should wrap your rest of your life around it. And so does GM, and so does Tesla. And I think they're clueless, but I'm not surprised at this point, because, I mean, it's their job to believe that their thing is number one. I mean, I get, they also, just sorry, I'm ranting here a little bit, but the other thing that they do is they say, well, but we've got advanced features. It's like, look, I think you can say we have self-driving, we have navigation, electric cars have to find their way to charge areas, and that their map and their data, it's always going to be far better than anything that Apple is going to provide. Okay, that's fine. If you've got a better map, then be a better map, and people won't use CarPlay for maps. But they'll use it for all their entertainment centers and stuff. But in the end, they're like, well, but no, because we've got a deal. We want to sell subscriptions to our data plan and have all of your music play through our data plan instead of through your phone's plan. And so it's ego and money, and it's stupid. It's stupid.
I still, we'll see what happens, but I still think Slate is going to be a rude awakening for a lot of car manufacturers when they find out how many people just want a car. Like, they don't care about any of the features. They don't care about any of the stuff that they put in the car. And all they want is a less expensive car that's modular, that they can fix and do their thing and everything else. And I think that's going to be, it's going to be hard, because, people, I don't care about my car at all. Like, as long as it keeps running, like I'm fine with it, and I think that's going to be the challenges. And I look at my kids, they now are kind of wanting to get a car, but there hasn't been the rush that we had when we grew up of like getting a car or having the car or whatever. It's just not.
It's different, isn't it?
It's becoming less and less important to the next generation.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I
why is that? Do they take Uber? What's the deal?
No, because this is the part that they don't get. It's because the car interrupts their ability to communicate with their friends. So the thing is that when you drive, you can't text, and you shouldn't text. So when you're texting and there's all the stuff that all the surfing, all the social media, everything else gets suspended by driving, and of course that's why, everybody wants to do self-driving and everything else. But because right now people don't care about the car or don't want to use a car. My kids would oftentimes rather take the train because they can keep on doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so I think that's going to be, and like and the interesting thing is, like, my wife did Waymo once and now does not consider Uber or taxis even valid. Like, she's just like,
she will only do Waymo.
She only wants, she doesn't like having people in the car. She goes, as a woman, I don't like people in the car. Like, I just want to get into the machine, and have it take me where I want. She loves it. And so I think that's, it'll be interesting to see, but I think that self-driving cars, like true self-driving cars, that are still a ways out. Yeah. It's the edge cases. I wish that they would just solve highways, like, and just build stuff into the highways so that it always worked in highways, because that's really where you want it. The other stuff I think is less important, but they'll keep on working on it.
Here's something, Jason, I know your wife cares about. Formula One racing.
Oh, God. That is, you could drive a Formula One car through our house and not find anybody to watch it.
Yeah.
Not even you?
I don't care.
You don't care. Well,
I don't care. Well, my wife and I both grew up watching IndyCar. But we just have completely fallen off. And Formula One, it just, for whatever reason. Well, the good news, Leo, is this that Apple is close to approaching to actually announcing that they've got the F1 for the U.S.
You may remember Tim Cook waving the checkered flag last year in Austin on the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
Formula One is coming back to Austin in 2 weeks on the 19th. And according to John Orond at Puck, he thinks that Apple and Formula One will make a formal announcement at the U.S. Grand Prix in Austin.
Yeah.
Apple apparently paying $140 million a year for the U.S. rights, which is it's more than 50% more than ESPN is currently paying now.
50% more than ESPN's paying now, and chump change for Apple.
Change for Apple.
Yeah.
And maybe, I thought when Tim Cook was at the race last year that, it's because of the F1 movie.
Well, I think it's all connected, right? I think that they worked closely with F1.
By John Malone's Liberty Media, an American company.
Yeah.
That's who's doing the negotiation. Now, here's the thing that scares me. As a Formula One fan, I watch their streaming service, F1 TV. I find it superior to ESPN. Apparently, Apple wants them to shut down
that's
F1
gonna get shut
TV
down.
in the U.S.
Yep.
Oren says it's not clear how this has shaken out. Formula One says F1 TV is profitable in the U.S. market, but this would be something that I'd be very, very sad about. Because I
think the real question is going to be: do they take the contents of F1 TV and do a version of that streaming product for Apple, or do they take what ESPN is doing, which is taking the English language feed from the UK and running it through? I don't know. It's a good question. This is US only, so they have to decide.
ESPN uses the Sky feed, right?
They use the Sky feed, and I've heard from a lot of F1 fans who say
it's not good.
They don't like the Sky feed,
I like
and they
the F1
really
TV.
prefer F1 TV. So it's a good question. It's also funny, isn't it weird? Like John Orend reported that this deal was done like 2 months ago, and he just re-reported it and has a figure now. But Apple is so weird. Like what are they waiting for? It's maybe it is the Austin Grand Prix, then they can talk about it on their earnings call.
If there's a dispute though over F1 TV, I mean that's a big dispute.
Sure.
I've worked on. I'm in the middle of a lot of contracts, and they take a long time. It's like there's all these little details. Well, what about this and what about this and who gets?
It's a tiny amount of money for Apple.
It is, but
significant
it's still,
for Liberty, right?
But it's just all the details. The you always, it's a prenup, for everything about how do we exit if we don't like it, and what does this look like, and who's going to get what, and you got to. And so once you've decided, even if you've handshaked on a deal, sometimes it's 6 months to a year before you get paper.
So F1 TV is an online software product, and what ESPN does is linear TV.
Right.
If that's what Apple does, I don't understand this deal. Because they should be saying F1, we are going to brand F1 TV
right.
inside Apple, and that's how we're
put it on the Vision Pro, right?
I think when you see Apple building cameras for a movie, like with their engineering team, they're planning to do a lot more than linear TV. Like they're definitely. I mean, they have.
Well, F1's a perfect example. They've got cameras everywhere.
They've got telemetry
on the F1 TV stream. You can watch each individual driver's point of view,
and like
you can
F1
hear
TV,
each individual driver's radio.
Apple TV is software driven. I mean, I guess I know they'll have to do a light stream that'll be available on like TV sets and stuff like that. But like, the whole point of doing this for Apple has to be to show off their technological prowess. And if the best they can do is be ESPN, that is a huge missed opportunity. I wonder what the deal is about. It's got to be in part like, what is F1 TV? Can they take parts of it? Because Apple's an online, they're a streaming service subscription. How could they allow F1 TV to continue to exist in the US? They have to be buying it out for the US market. So, but they should also use it as the replacement. They should not. It will be a real loss, I think, technically for Apple if all they do is a flat stream in ESPN style from Sky.
I think the maps that we saw that got pulled back, all the stuff. I think all of that gets wrapped into this. I think Apple wants to use this as a platform. Different features across different devices where they make the most sense. I think it's a treasure trove for Apple.
So here's my theory, keying off of MLS, is that this will be a package that they will sell. It'll be priced similar to F1 TV, and that the raw basic feed, like from Sky, will be available maybe more broadly. Maybe it'll be to any TV Plus subscriber.
Yeah.
And then if you want to buy the package, you get the full F1 TV experience.
Yeah. And I think
inside of Apple.
And I think their goal is going to be to outdo the app. Like they're going to, they're going to want to take that and then go, what if we had a whole bunch more money and we just pummel it into this thing, and what would it look like? And I think that's what it'll probably go down.
Very interesting. Mm-hmm. Well, I will be watching the race from Austin, and I'll fill you in.
Let us know.
I'll let you know.
I will not be, so let me know.
Since you won't be watching it. Let's take a break. Go ahead.
There was an ESPN commentator for baseball who got in trouble with some dummies online because his partner, who knows he's from Louisiana, was reading an NHL on ESPN promo and said, "Are you going to be watching that?" Knowing that his answer was going to be, "There's no chance I'm going to watch hockey. I'm going to go hunting or something," right? And people are like, "How dare you say you're not going to watch hockey?" And it's like, not everybody needs to like everything. So I realized I just did that. I just did that here, which is like, I'm not interested in.
I understand.
F1.
That's fine.
I'm going to walk my dog instead.
Yes. You should, because most of the F1 races are in the middle of the night.
It's 2 in the morning. I'll go to sleep.
Just be sleeping.
I'm going to count sheep instead.
That's, by the way, why the streaming is so important. It's, even ESPN most of the time puts it on delay because it's in the middle of the night. Singapore was like 3 a.m. or something. All right, let us take a break. When we come back, your picks of the week, and I will do Andy's pick because it's a very important pick, and it's one we don't want you to miss. But first, a word from our sponsor. Actually, more than a sponsor, MacBreak Weekly is quite literally brought to you by CashFly. In fact, all of our shows are, because CashFly is our content delivery network. For over 20 years, CashFly has held a track record for high-performing, ultra-reliable content delivery, serving over 5,000 companies in over 80 countries. And we know because we've been using CashFly practically since the very beginning. They saved our bacon. We had no idea what we were getting into. And when the bandwidth demands became untenable, Matt Levine and his team from CashFly came to the rescue. And we've been using CashFly ever since. We love their lag-free video loading. That's so important. When you come to our website and you press the play button, people are impatient. You're not going to wait 5 seconds for that video to start. It's got to start right away. And you know what? Thanks to CashFly, it does. Hyper-fast downloads, which are very important when your podcatcher is downloading the show. You want it quick, right? And friction-free site interactions. Join companies like Adobe, Microsoft, LG, the NFL, and many more that rely on CashFly. Most CDN providers will hold you back. With CashFly, you get a tailored solution and performance-obsessed partners. Really, for CashFly, performance is everything. So your CDN becomes your competitive advantage. CashFly's proof is in the petabytes. Events stream smoothly to millions of concurrent users worldwide with less than 1 second latency. Online games start 70% faster. They scale instantly. They play without lag. Software downloads flawlessly during releases, patches, and updates. HD video plays on demand with ultra-fast sub-second start on every device. And podcasts reach global audiences at record speed at any scale. We deliver petabytes of data every single month with CashFly. And you can rely on them. And I know this because I have the experience. CashFly delivers rich media content up to 158% faster than other major CDNs. It allows you to shield your site content in their cloud. This is something we've been doing for years now, and it eliminates any cache misses. We have a 100% cache hit ratio. Another reason your podcasts come in fast from CashFly. Never pay for service overlap again either, because CashFly is flexible month-to-month billing for as long as you need it, which is so important to us. When we were just getting started, we had no idea how much bandwidth we'd use. But once you get it, once you understand, you get discounts for fixed terms once you're happy. The point is you design your own contract when you switch to CashFly. CashFly, it's like gaining an extension to your team. When your entire business model depends on delivering massive content like ours does, you can't afford to go it alone. You can count on personalized help anytime from a tenured expert who gets it engineer to engineer 24/7. Learn how you can get your first month free at cashfly.com/twit. That's CACHEFLY.com/twit. We love you, CashFly. Thanks for your support. Andy wanted everyone to know his pick of the week, The Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown, which I think arguably is the best of the Charlie Brown shows, is free Saturday, October 18th and Sunday, October 29th. Apple, as you know, bought the rights to all of the Peanuts TV shows, but they have every year kind of made it available in some form or fashion. And in a way, I think this is still better than back when it was on broadcast TV and you had to watch it exactly when it was available. This time you get 2 shots at The Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown. This is Andy always picks this every year. I love it. Jason Snell, pick of the week.
Yeah, I have picked this before, but I just bought a couple new ones and installed them last week, so I'm going to do it again. My favorite smart home brand is Lutron. They're rock solid. You buy one little puck and attach it to your network, and I have never had a failure, ever. And I say that as somebody who has to repair my Hue bulbs constantly.
I have Lutron throughout my house, because Stacey Higginbotham said the same thing.
It is rock solid. It's amazing. So I'm going to specifically promote these new switches that I got. The old switches that I have in my house look like computer switches. There's like a square button and another square button, and it's like beep boop. The robots can turn the lights on and off.
Those are the cassettas, I think.
There's a new cassetta. Yeah, exactly. So this is Diva, which is also their general name for their paddle switches, but this is their smart paddle switches. They've got dimmers on them. They look like regular Decora outlet rocker switches with a dimmer, but they're smart. And the reason that I'm recommending these is in many cases, the right thing to do is not buy smart bulbs for your house. It's buy smart switches that control stupid bulbs.
That's right.
And so, if you've got places that have switches or dimmers, you can swap these in. They're completely usable by regular human beings. And they also are on your HomeKit network and rock solid, and they stay on it. So I'm able to automate. I
might have to substitute my old cassettes with these.
These are nicer, right? Like, because they look less like computer things.
I don't like the button thing.
I don't love it. I don't love it either. I'm in the process of doing that too. So anyway, I installed a couple of these last week. The dimmer works like a regular slide up and down dimmer, except there's a little bit of a different thing because this doesn't stay switched on or off. It goes back to the middle. If you press it, it'll go up to the dimmer level, and then you press it again, and it goes all the way to full 100%, which is kind of nice. And then, of course, it's in your HomeKit. You can do things like, say, add an automation so that whether you're at home or not, in the evening, your lights come on for a little while. And I have that on all the time. It either has the lights on for me or it has the lights on so people think that there are people in that house. Either way.
Do you still, if you're using HomeKit, do you still need the base station?
You do. The Lutron base station is still, at least for now, I forget what standard they're using, but like I kind of don't want to mess with it. It supports up to like 99 items in your house.
My problem is we have 3 floors and an ADU, and it doesn't see all of them.
Doesn't see all of them. Yeah. Well, that's kind of tricky. I ultimately this is all going to like Thread or something, but we're not there yet. And I'm happy with Lutron because it doesn't have the issues that some things like I like my Philips Hue stuff, but it loses authentication way too often.
Pain in the ass.
Or if there's a power outage, it loses conversation with other devices. And Lutron, I just have never had it. They've got a whole line. There are remote controls. One of the greatest things, I installed smart lights in my living room, and the thing that my wife liked the best is that it comes with one of their Pico remotes, and that means that we can control the lights in our living room from the couch instead of having to get up and walk halfway across the room to adjust the lights. And when you're watching a movie and you just want it to be a little bit darker, it's really nice. And I could do that. Could I do that on my phone? Yeah. But you know what's even better is just
pull out the phone,
pointing the little button and down, and then it's solved. So they make them for 3-way. A lot of them don't require neutrals if you're an older house. I just put one in. I have a slot with a dummy switch where there used to be a switchable outlet, and I always wanted that outlet on, so my electrician just unwired it and made it a dummy switch. Lutron sells a
I need that.
A Pico remote holder that goes in the size of the Decora outlet, and you slide a little remote in, and now it's a push button remote.
Right.
That's not actually using it. It's pretty clever. So anyway, if you're thinking about smarter stuff in your home, especially if the idea of buying bulbs gives you pause, this is the answer: is don't buy smart bulbs, buy smart switches and make your dumb bulbs smart.
Yes. Lutron, the new divas at LUTRON.com. Thank you, Jason. Alex Lindsay, your pick of the week.
Talking about lights today. We keep on talking about lights. Now, mine's a little bit more basic. So I've been using this one for a long time. This is a Nebo, and it's called the Big Larry 2, I think. And
I have a Big Larry.
Big Larry 2. The Big Larry 3 came out and somehow cheaper than the Big Larry 2. I buy a lot of these because I put them in kits.
They have a magnet on them, right?
It has a magnet. I don't know if you can see it, but it'll snap to...
I love that.
And it's strong. It's a strong magnet. You worry about putting it next to things, and it will snap onto things. And
I keep one in my car because
I have one. Yeah, I have a couple of them. There's one in my car. There's one in my kit. I work in theaters a lot, and so like being able to snap it to something and be able to be working in a dark area is really, really valuable. It's got a couple. I have to admit, the only version I use, you have this kind of the end there, and then you have you can have it.
It's a side one.
snap down.
But
the
it
side one
also
is what
has
you
a
use.
red light,
Then
which
it has
would
a
be
red
great
one,
for the theater.
and it has like a blinking red. But I'm mostly just using this one, and it's 600 lumens, the new one, and so it's bright, and you just snap it on. It's AA batteries. There's nothing special about it. Nothing crazy about it. Maybe there's a better one out there, but I got to tell you, I've been using these now for years, and they work great. And
the Nebo.
And everyone asks, literally every time I pull it out and snap it onto the side of something and turn it on, everyone's like, "Where did you get that?" So if they don't have one, they ask, and so there you go. And
you want the Big Larry 3? That's the one you want.
3. It's cheaper. It's $16 on Amazon right now. I just bought one.
Cheap.
They're
I
like
might buy a
$16
few.
on
That's
Amazon.
good.
I have a few. Yeah. And so and it's about the same. I think they just figured out how to make it for a little less. I'm not super excited about the orange on the end, but it's not a big deal. So
that's so you don't want to get shot. People know that it's not a real whatever
wand. They're like, it's not a wand.
It's not a wizard's wand.
Yeah, exactly. He's not going to cast a spell. Look out! He's going to cast a spell.
This is from Nebo. Is from acgbrands.com. Nebo.acgbrands.com.
You can hear it. So you hear it. There you go.
Look at that. That is a magnet
sticking out. Yeah, exactly.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alex Lindsay. Thank you, Jason Snell. And in absentia, thank you, Andy Anako. Alex is at officehours.global. That's where you'll find him every morning, answering questions, helping people get the most out of their technology, and particularly in media and production. Special shows. Oh, good. You have a link now on the front page. Check out our special shows here. So if you're interested.
On Tuesdays, on Tuesday evenings, not every Tuesday, but when we have something we want to cover, we're doing, we bring someone on. So it's not part of the general Q&A. It's kind of a separate conversation. We used to do it in second hours, and it was just too many. So now we have it where we can do it. So you can see some of the special.
Oh, this is great. This looks good. Yeah. Officehours.global is the website. There's also Office Hours Global on YouTube with no dot. And for the immersive video samples, it is what is it? OH Global?
It is, OH Global -immersive.
-immersive.
And there'll be some more videos up to this week.
Nice.
Yep.
Thank you, Alex. Jason Snell's at sixcolors.com. His podcast, sixcolors.com/Jason. Plug something exciting.
Something exciting. I don't know.
I'm sorry. That's a lot of pressure.
Okay. All right. I'll do it. You talk about the book club that club members do here. I will say our latest episode of The Incomparable at the Mothership at theincomparable.com. It's a really great group talking about William Gibson's Neuromancer and reading it all of these years later, including one panelist who had never read it before, which is amazing. And then the rest of us deeply well-versed in that incredibly influential book that gave us, it didn't define the term cyberpunk, but it certainly, he did that in a short story, but it popularized it and led to lots of really bad late 80s movies. But such a great book, especially, Leo, you'll like this. And I go into it on the podcast a little bit. Bill Gibson wrote that book on a manual typewriter, having never used a personal computer before in 1982. And you read it in 2025 and you're like, pretty good. I mean, there aren't any phone booths anymore, but otherwise, like the stuff that he visualized based on sort of trends, apparently he was inspired by walking by a video arcade and watching kids playing video games in an arcade, and he was like, cyberspace. But he'd like never. It's one of the seminal books about computers, and he had never used a computer when he wrote it.
You know, it's funny. I just saw on Reddit somebody begging Framework to make a clear case for their Framework laptop so it would look like the laptop in Neuromancer.
Like a cyberspace deck. I started buying little mechanical keyboards because they're so close to being like, here's my cyberspace deck. By the way, Apple TV Plus is doing this as a miniseries next year. So
I don't know if that's good or not.
I don't know, but I'm kind of glad we waited this long because otherwise we would have gotten Johnny Mnemonic. Also, the reason there hasn't been a Neuromancer movie up to now is because they made The Matrix, which is entirely, or not entirely, but like it's clearly deeply inspired by Neuromancer. And after that, I'm not sure you could have made a Neuromancer movie after The Matrix came out.
It's such a visual novel. I just don't see any way you could make it and to have actual visuals and make it as good.
Will be
your brain
interesting.
Is so good at that
to see them try. But anyway,
man.
so the Incomparable podcast available where you get your podcasts. And the latest episode is me and Anthony Johnston and Glenn Fleischman and Lisa Schmeiser and
who had not read it? Come on, tell the
newbie
truth.
Erica Ensign, who had never read it, but did live through the 80s, so she's got that going for her. Yeah. Anyway, it was cool. So that was a fun thing we did last week.
Erica played the D&D with Micah for.
That's right.
Yeah, that was really fun for St. Jude's. All right, theincomparable.com, and that's their mothership, episode 786. I will be listening to that. Maybe I'll turn the lights off, read the book, and then listen to it. Thank you, Jason Snell.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex Lindsay. Thank you, Andy Anako. A special thanks to our Club Twit members who make this show and all the shows and everything we do at Twit possible. 25% of our costs are paid by Club members. Frankly, I'd like to make it 100%. I would. If you're not a member of the club, only about less than 2% of our entire audience is a member. If we get that to 3 or 4%, it would take all the financial pressure off. It would be an amazing thing. And believe me, we're not asking for your money without giving you something in return. You get access to the Club Twit Discord, which is a great place to hang out. You also get, of course, ad-free versions of all the shows because you're paying us. We don't need to charge advertisers to get to you. That means no trackers, no ads, nothing. Completely private. You also get to listen to and watch special events that happen in the Discord only for club members, like Micah's Crafting Corner coming up on the 15th, our photo time with Chris Marquardt on the 16th, and you mentioned Stacey's book club. We're going to do a memory called Empire, really interesting book, on the 17th of this month. There's still time to read it. It's well worth reading or listening to, although honestly the audiobook wasn't great. Wasn't a great rendition. I think I would read it if I were you. Anyway, join the club. Twit.tv/clubtwit. We'd love to have you. Twit.tv/clubtwit. And thanks to all of our club members for making everything we do possible. We do this show every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1800 UTC. If you're in the club, you can watch us do it live in the Club Twit Discord. We put video in there. You can chat with us there. But we also make it available to the public when we're doing the recordings. You can watch kind of behind the scenes as the show happens on YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, X.com, or Kick. Take your pick. And if you're chatting in there, I will see the chat. I have a unified chat. I see everything that people say in all the different places. Thank you for all of you chatting with us. After the fact, on-demand versions of the show available at our website, twit.tv/mbw. There's a YouTube channel dedicated to the video. Yeah, we do audio and video. And, of course, you can subscribe in your favorite podcast player, whether it's, Pocket Casts, Overcast, Apple Podcasts, whatever you use. Just look for MacBreak Weekly, choose audio or video or both. It's free. Subscribe now, and that way you can listen at your leisure to every episode. Thank you so much for being here. Unfortunately, I'm sad to say it is my sad and solemn duty to tell you at this point, you better get back to work because break time is over. We'll see you next week.